If you've ever been relieved that the trade deadline came and passed, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. And today is going to be the Wednesday, November 5th edition. Normally we have Tim Melvin on Wednesdays. He is actually unavailable today, but I have a surprise. I was able to get Anne Marie booked for today since we missed her yesterday. We're going to bring her on today and grab us some option setups. We've also got news to go through here today. There's a little bit going on in the movers, but the big thing going on is going to be the Supreme Court arguments that is going to be televised on C-SPAN and may have market implications. So we're going to track all of that. We're going to find new things to trade here today, and we are going to make some money. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Wednesday edition for November 5th, 2025, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back. I hope that you all had a wonderful Tuesday evening. I'll say this, I discovered yesterday that the Oak Island TV show had the first episode in the new season last night, so I had a great time watching that. I am ready to rip here today. Good to see a whole bunch of returning faces. Richard Judge is first here today. Judge, the early bird getting the worm. You love to see it. Welcome back, Judge. Sam, good morning. Welcome back. Crim Biscuit, good morning. Welcome back. Ryan and Solitary Soldier, welcome back. Jane and Peter, welcome back. Zach, good to see you. Corey, good to see you. Marty, good morning. Bill, good morning. I'm trying to do the best I can with the names here. Sorry about that. Sunkissed Yogi, good morning. Welcome back. Catherine, good morning. Catherine, it is wild out there. Tara, good morning. Marty, welcome back. Producers locked in. Glass half full, good morning. Azrar, good morning. Hoot, good morning. Bernhard, Big Bear Hug. And Candace, good morning. Wiss, it's good to see you again. Brandy, welcome back. Big Dave, welcome back. Yes, that girl, welcome back. Cad Monkey, welcome back. Knights Lance, welcome back. Angelito, good morning. Just passing through. Good morning. Day Trader, good morning. Buffalo by Bicycle, good morning. Tyler, good morning. G-Cord and Johnny, welcome back. Kenneth, Darkside Hemi, and Robot to Trade, good morning. Big Bees, welcome back. JJ, Workstation, welcome back. Ari Stock Market, Dara, Neville, and Danik, good morning. Robert, it's great to see you again. Robert, what do you have on the deck here for today? Marty, did Oak Island find another button? Not yet. I'm sure they're going to find their fair share of buttons here this year. I can appreciate that joke. They did get a coin that was recovered a long time ago. They actually, and in the preview, they actually said that they found more things that comment on the story this year than they have in all other years. So maybe that's just teasing and hype, but can't wait to see it. I'm more of a fan of the history side of it anyway, because they keep pulling out things from the 12 and 1300s that somehow ended up over here. Treasure notwithstanding, history is going to be changed by this, depending on how much they pull out of the ground. That to me is exciting. M. Slew, good morning. I don't know what your name is supposed to be. I'm sorry, man. Lambo Rolls, good morning. Dirkus, welcome back. C. Boogie, welcome back. Ryan, do you think the selling is over? No. No, as a matter of fact, I don't. Maybe we do get a bounce, but I do think there's going to be some more selling. We'll actually cover that in the SPY chart. I do have some thoughts on maybe where we can go in the near term here. But I also don't think that we're going to get like a massive plunge by the end of the year. I still suspect that at some point in November and December, we're actually going to have what feels like the traditional holiday season. Maybe I'm wrong about that. That's where I feel here today. I'll have a little bit more color for you, C Boogie, when we actually take a look at the SPY chart. Nordrev, good morning. Sean, good to see you again. Philip, welcome back. Eastern, welcome back. Nuvici, welcome back. Lombardo, Wasabi, Ryan. Hey, what's going on? Good morning. Diamond Hotline, good morning. Loud, good morning. Kevin, good morning. Pete, good morning. Pete, you excited that socialism is coming here? Let me know. Big Bees, good morning. And Lars, good morning. All right, folks, let's get started with the stock market today. All right, we have kind of a mixed pre-market here. S&P futures down 0.08%, basically near unchanged. Dow futures up 0.03%, basically near unchanged. And the NASDAQ here down 0.15%, also, especially for the NASDAQ, basically near unchanged. So a little bit of mixed, little bit of under pressure, but fairly neutral here today. And also we are up off of the lows from the pre-market here this morning. Let's go ahead and take a look at some cues from the last session here. Sectors posting the biggest losses on Tuesday, including communication services, consumer discretionary, and information technology, leading most S&P 500 sectors, to close on a negative note. U.S. stock futures were fluctuating on Wednesday after Tuesday's lower close. Futures of major benchmark indices were mixed, as I just covered. Investors interpreted the latest batch of corporate earnings as solid, but not spectacular, offering a convenient excuse to take profits after strong year-to-date rallies. Palantir, one of the poster children for this year's AI-fueled rally, slumped around 8% despite easily beating Wall Street estimates and raising full-year guidance. President Trump's legal authority to impose most of his sweeping duties face a key test at the Supreme Court today. Justices will hear arguments in a case whose decision could have significant reverberations for the global economy. Now, from what I understand here, we're not going to get any decisions today. It's just going to be testimony today. But it will be interesting to see how the market reacts to that. I can't remember exactly what time it starts. I'll try and find that for you, but that's going to be one of the bigger things, I think, on deck here today. The 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.08%, and the 2-year bond was at 3.58%. Now, we do have some stocks in focus here today. First one's going to be ticker AMD, Advanced Micro Devices. That fell 2.81% in the pre-market on Wednesday, despite better than expected financial results for the third quarter. It said it expects fourth quarter revenue of approximately $9.6 billion. Plus or minus 300 million. AMD closed yesterday at 250.05 and is currently sitting at 241.71 in the pre-market here today. Qualcomm is the second stock on our list here today. That's ticker QCOM. It was 0.42% lower ahead of earnings scheduled to be released after the closing bell here today. Analysts expect it to report earnings of $2.87 per share on revenue of $10.77 billion. Robinhood is our next stock on the list here, ticker HOOD. That was 0.66% higher as analysts expect it to report earnings of 53 cents per share on revenue of $1.21 billion after the closing bell. Pinterest tumbled 18.9% as it posted downbeat earnings for the third quarter with revenue of $1.05 billion in line with analyst estimates. The Idea Discovery platform company's adjusted earnings of 38 cents per share missed analyst estimates of 42 cents per share. The last stock on our list here today is McDonald's, ticker MCD, which slipped 0.36% before its expected reported earnings of $3.33 per share on revenue of $7.09 billion before the opening bell. Looking at McDonald's right now, it closed at $299.21 and is currently sitting at $301.79 here in the pre-market. Now, we do have more earnings here. I'm going to go ahead and share the earnings calendar with you. As mentioned here today, Qualcomm, ARM, AppLovin, Robinhood, Fortinet, Allstate, all are going to report tonight. You could throw DoorDash in there as well. Tomorrow in the morning, we've got ConocoPhillips and a couple of other energy companies. And then tomorrow evening, after the market closes, we get Airbnb. So still some pretty big earnings coming the rest of this week. All right, let's get back to the SPY chart there, and let's take a look at what's going on. So here's where we're sitting. So C Boogie, you were asking me earlier if the selling has stopped. I will try and put my synopsis here of the SPY chart in that context. So first of all, we broke down from the midway point of the channel, and it sure looked like we're going to go test that 20-day moving average. The actual value of that moving average is 672.68. Now, it is worth noting in the after hours yesterday, we did touch 670, and we're currently sitting at 671.21. So we are right beneath that 20-day moving average. Where we close today with respect to that average, I think is going to tell us a lot about what we can expect for the rest of the week here. If we break down from this level, I really think that the next spot of support is probably going to be this 50-day moving average. That's down here at 664.13. We also have the 667 and a quarter area, which was a previous all-time high that we broke out of. Actually took a couple of sessions to develop the strength to break out of that. That may act as support on the way down, but it's very, very close to the 50-day moving average. So I would imagine if we have any type of weakness here today, we probably probe some of those levels. If you back out here and you take a look at the SPY and the channel that we're in, the 50-day moving average has really kind of been the support. Every time that we've come down to it and actually tested it, we have bounced. So I want to see what happens here at 664. I would be entirely unsurprised if we sold off a little bit more and tested that level. Even if we peaked below that level and then ended up closing above it, I still think that the uptrend would be intact here. So tough for me to say if all of the selling is over. I think personally, we probably bounce if we go down to that 50-day moving average. I don't necessarily think we set new highs unless there's some type of really kind of a big catalyst out there that's enough to drive us higher here. This to me just kind of seems like a little bit of a pullback after a pretty extraordinary run here. The other thing is we'll see if the government shutdown gets resolved this week. We're now, I believe, the longest shutdown in the country's history. If that gets resolved, we were kind of tossing this idea around happy hour yesterday. Is that going to be enough of a positive catalyst to really kind of drive us higher? That remains to be seen. We'll see how that shakes out. And that speaks nothing of what we're going to hear, the testimony in front of the Supreme Court here today. So I would expect a bounce, especially if we trade a little bit lower from where we are. But we'll see if that's what we end up getting. One of the things that I would like to ask you, C. Boogie, what do you think? Or what does the rest of the group think here? Do you think that we do have some more significant down move here? Or do you think we're at a spot where we are about ready to bounce? I'd be curious to get the group's decision on that. Maybe we'll ask Anne-Marie here about that too, C. Boogie, try and give you a little bit more insight from that. Speaking of insight, let's take a look at some of that. Insight from some other analysts here. BlackRock maintains a positive overweight outlook on U.S. stocks, identifying the artificial intelligence theme as a powerful market driver. The firm's Wednesday commentary highlights that recent solid tech earnings show how the AI build-out remains a key equity driver. Sorry about that. This is evidenced by mega cap tech firms like Alphabet, Google, Meta, and Microsoft, looks like they got the ticker wrong there, significantly upping their CapEx spending on AI infrastructure. A trend BlackRock expects to continue. And actually, we've heard from some of these individual companies. It sure seems like that is going to continue per them as well. This optimistic equity stance is supported by Federal Reserve rate cuts. While the Fed signaled a pause, BlackRock's view is we think they will likely cut again, likely in December. The rationale is that a softening labor market gives the Fed space to cut. So again, just kind of tying this back to your question about do you think the selling is done? I think the other thing here is if the market actually, and I mean the market, not just some analyst at BlackRock, but if the market starts to sniff out that there's probably going to be a rate cut in December, I would imagine that that would temporarily limit some of the selling. I would imagine, especially after a down move here, maybe we'd see another up move after that. Again, just speculating based on what we're getting here. Economically, BlackRock anticipates a notable slowing of activity without a recession, end quote, a scenario that believes should support U.S. stocks, while acknowledging that policy-driven volatility and supply-side constraints are pressuring growth. The firm ultimately believes the powerful AI megaforce, that's the first time it's been called that, I kind of like that, the AI megaforce will continue to support corporate earnings. BlackRock's tactical view concludes that the U.S. valuations are backed by stronger earnings and profitability relative to other developed markets. So it looks like even in the face of some high valuations and a little bit of a down move here, BlackRock seems to think that not all is going to be terrible. All right. Let's also talk about China a little bit here. China eases U.S. tariffs, scrapes farm levies as Trump cuts fentanyl duties in a fresh trade truce. China has rolled back 24% additional tariffs on U.S. goods for a year, but the 10% levies introduced in response to President Trump's Liberation Day duties will remain in effect, the country's cabinet confirmed on Wednesday. Meanwhile, Trump signed an executive order on Tuesday to formally cut a fentanyl-related tariff on imports from China to 10% from 20%, delivering on a key element of the trade deal struck with Chinese President Xi Jinping. The State Council's Tariff Commission also announced that it will remove tariffs of up to 15% on select U.S. agricultural products starting November 10th. This refers to its March announcement where China outlined plans to levy an extra 15% on U.S. imports of chicken, wheat, corn, and cotton. Meanwhile, items such as sorghum, soybeans, pork, beef, seafood, fruits, vegetables, and dairy products were slated to face an additional 10% tariff. Quote, the continued suspension of certain bilateral tariffs between China and the United States is conducive to promoting the healthy, stable, and sustainable development of China-U.S. economic and trade relations. And that came from the Chinese Ministry of Finance. Let me know if you folks heard that quote from any of the other news sources out there. I'm willing to bet you didn't. Over the past 6 months, the SPDR ETF, or SPY, and Invesco QQQ, which track the SPY and the NASDAQ 100 index respectively, climbed 19.83% and 27.44% respectively. So this has continued to move up. We'll see if there's some more positive arrows ahead of us. Now let's talk a little bit about AMD. We'll start with the chart. I'll go ahead and bring up AMD here. Now, I'm going to back out because we had a number of drawings on this chart and a number of trend lines when we were really kind of watching the meteoric rise that this thing has made since the Liberation Day bottom there. It does look like we pretty much went right to the upside trend line, and it's amazing how many stocks continue to do this. I guess it's worth noting that we didn't actually test that yet, although we got within a stone's throw of it. Now, if we take a look here, this is kind of rolling over, but basically we're sitting right on the 20-day moving average. Current price here in the pre-market, 241.68. The 20-day moving average, 241.48. And if you take a look at the chart, we basically just gave up the up move that started on Friday, October 24th. We're basically right back down to the start of that. This is a previous breakout level. So AMD, it looks like a key spot here. We'll see if the selling is done in this individual name. It obviously reported earnings last night. Let's go ahead and take a look at those earnings. AMD reported third quarter revenue of $9.25 billion, which beat the analyst estimates of $8.74 billion. The chipmaker reported third quarter adjusted earnings of $1.20 per share, which beat the analyst estimate of $1.16 per share. Total revenue in the quarter increased 36% on a year-over-year basis. Here's a breakdown of that revenue. Data center was at $4.3 billion. That's up 22% year-over-year. Client and gaming, $4 billion, up 73% year-over-year. I don't know if any of you remember, but one of the things that 13 and I were talking about when NVIDIA was releasing some of their gaming GPUs, there was a lot of problems with the release. Several folks that came on here said the same thing. Markets and Mayhem was all over this. It still is. And it looks like huge year-over-year growth here in client and gaming. Makes me wonder if AMD has more gap to close on this. This is actually a pretty impressive number, in my opinion. In the embedded segment here, $855 million. That was down 8% year-over-year. AMD delivered $2.24 billion in third quarter operating income and ended the period with approximately $4.81 billion in cash and cash equivalents. Quote, we delivered an outstanding quarter with record revenue and profitability reflecting broad-based demand for our high-performance EPYC and Ryzen processors and Instinct AI accelerators. That came from Lisa Su, chair and CEO of AMD. Our record third quarter performance and strong fourth quarter guidance marks a clear step up in our growth trajectory as we're expanding compute franchise and rapidly scaling data center AI business to drive significant revenue and earnings growth, end quote. AMD expects fourth quarter revenue of approximately $9.6 billion plus or minus $300 million. Analysts are currently expecting fourth quarter revenue of approximately $9.15 billion, according to Benzinga Pro. AMD noted its current outlook does not include any revenue from AMD Instinct MI308 shipments to China. Company executives will further discuss the quarter on the 5 p.m. conference call. They did that, of course, last night. One more thing to come out of this. AMD CEO Lisa Su expects the OpenAI partnership to generate over $100 billion in revenue and significantly accelerate the AI business. Chipmaker AMD Lisa Su highlighted the significance of the company's multi-billion-dollar, multi-year partnership with OpenAI, saying that it could help the company's AI business gain traction. I sure hope so. During the company's third quarter earnings call on Tuesday, Su said that the deal will significantly accelerate AMD's data center AI businesses while potentially generating over $100 billion in revenue over the next few years. The partnership includes a massive deployment of AMD Instinct GPUs totaling 6 gigawatts of compute power. According to Su, the first gigawatt of MI450 series accelerators is scheduled to start coming online in the second half of 2026, helping position it as a key AI compute arms race, helping it compete as a key player, in the AI compute arms race. Quote, the partnership establishes AMD as a core compute provider for OpenAI and underscores the strength of our hardware, software, and full-stack solutions strategy, end quote. AMD and OpenAI are set to collaborate across multiple fronts, including future hardware, software, and system-level roadmaps as this partnership moves forward. AMD released its third quarter results on Tuesday. We talked about that, up 36% year over year, the revenue up 36% year over year. And despite posting a beat and raise quarter, AMD shares were down 3.7% on Tuesday, closing at 250.05, and are down another 3.1% overnight. Let's actually check in here on AMD. We did come up off the lows there. It looks like 236 was your low or thereabouts. Currently sitting here 241. So we're still down 9 points from yesterday's close. The stock does score very well on momentum, growth, and quality. Okay, next here. Let's take a look at IREN. I know we talked about this earlier this week. IREN has made just an absolutely ridiculous move. Here's what the IREN daily chart looks like. Now, the first thing that jumps off the page here, to me at least, sure looks like this is a double top up here at about 74.5. I know it's not exactly on there, but about 74.5. It's pulled back here, but it's done a really good job staying above its 20-day moving average. They have earnings tomorrow after the market closes. If we look inside here, nice big move. There was a really good trade for you folks that were taking a look at this yesterday. IREN, nice move out of the gate here, really kind of bled back a lot of those gains throughout the rest of the day. And here we are about midway through that move higher here today. Higher in the pre-market, and we've made a higher high here in the pre-market. Okay, it looks like we had some data here. Indeed. So ADP, non-farm employment change for October, 42,000 versus the 32,000 estimate. ADP national employment report shows year-over-year pay growth of 4.5%. That was flat from the prior month. And the ADP September non-farm employment change was revised from minus 32,000 to minus 29,000. Market doesn't really seem to be responding to this. This print just came out a few minutes ago. Market is basically trading sideways here in the pre-market. So it does not look like there's a huge reaction to this necessarily. Thank you, producer, for throwing those in the chat as well. Appreciate that. Let me go ahead and go back here. Wanted to talk, we were taking a look at IREN. We just took a look at the daily chart. Let's talk about what's going on here. Jim Chanos warns that IREN is taking all the risk in the $9.7 billion Microsoft AI pack and goes on to claim that the deal will decrease EPS. Famed short seller Jim Chanos has poured cold water on market excitement for IREN for their new $9.7 billion AI cloud deal with Microsoft, warning that the deal's high-risk financing arrangement will likely harm shareholder value. How many of you agree with Chanos just right off the top there, just out of curiosity? In a detailed analysis posted on social media platform X, Chanos argued that despite IREN's stock skyrocketing on the news, the deal's underlying financials are below IREN's cost of capital. Chanos, who posted a return on invested capital and internal run rate analysis of the deal, claimed that even favorable assumptions, the project return of invested capital of 7.7% and unlevered internal rate of return of 10.2% are too low. He dismissed market enthusiasm, stating, quote, "The 20% IRR figure people are throwing around are ridiculous. This is a financing deal with Iron taking all of the risk," end quote. The critique comes just days after Iron announced a 5-year agreement to supply Microsoft with NVIDIA GB300 GPU cloud services, a move that sent the stock to new highs. And for anyone that wants to go through this or any of Chanos's tweets with some of the tables that are on there, that story's in the chat there for you. Chanos goes on to say, Chanos' sanity check also highlights what he sees as an unfavorable terms for Iron. He calculated that the 77,000 GPUs in the deal are being rented out at an implied 288 per hour, well below where other deals have happened. His analysis concluded with a stark warning for investors celebrating the revenue milestone, quote, "Finally, it's hard not to conclude that this deal will actually decrease EPS for IREN going forward," end quote. Chanos wrote, adding that the company faces an increased balance sheet risk and or equity dilution as a result. The deal, one of the largest in the AI infrastructure sector, involves IREN purchasing $5.8 billion in equipment from Dell to be funded through cash, customer payments, and other financing. Benzinga did reach out to Iron for comment on Chanos' analysis, but did not receive an immediate response. Of course, the story will get updated if we do get that response. So let me know, are you guys still bullish on Iron? Do you agree with Chanos here? For those of you that are trading it, are you selling it? Are you making any changes to that? Let me know what's going on with your Iron trade, if you still have one. All right. Next here, let's take a look at a stock that we really haven't looked at in some time. This is going to be Tempus. I remember this being definitely a big winner for a lot of folks in our group here. Tempus made a nice move higher. It's actually, I feel like this has been a trade. I feel like this has been a trade back and forth a number of times. There's been a number of setups here. TEM here actually beneath the 50-day. And it's down 3.7% here in the premium. You see what happened here. It sold off yesterday. We are up off the lows here, still below the trend line, still below the 50. Tempus AI Q3 highlights. Cathie Wood, Nancy Pelosi owned AI stock raises guidance. AI company Tempus AI reported third quarter financial results on Tuesday after the market closed. Here are some of the key highlights. They reported third quarter revenue of $334.21 million. That was up 84.7% year over year. The revenue beat a street consensus estimate of $328.73 million, according to Benzinga Pro. Revenue from genomics was $252.9 million in the quarter. That was up 117.2% year over year. Revenue from data and services was $81.3 million in the quarter. That was up 26.1% year over year. The company reported an adjusted loss of 11 cents per share, beating a street consensus estimate of a loss of 17 cents per share. Tempus AI reported 217,000 clinical tests delivered in the third quarter. That's up 33% year over year. Oncology volume growth was up 27% year over year, with hereditary volume growth up 37% year over year. The company's gross profit was $209.9 million in the third quarter. That was an improvement of 98.4% from the previous year's third quarter. Adjusted EBITDA was $1.5 million in the third quarter compared to a loss of $21.8 million in the third quarter. Quote, "Not only are we growing at an incredible rate, reaching positive adjusted EBITDA marks on an important milestone and reflects the strength of our underlying business." That was Tempus AI founder CEO Eric Lefkofsky. Tempus AI has been a popular stock in 2025 with soaring interest in artificial intelligence stocks. Representative Nancy Pelosi disclosed buying 50 call options on January 14th, 2025. The options have a strike price of 20 and expire January 16th, 2026. ARK funds, led by Cathie Wood, also own shares of Tempus in the ARK Innovation ETF and the ARK Genomic Revolution ETF, where the stock is a top 10 holding in both. The company raised its full year 2025 revenue guidance to $1.265 billion. That was up from a previous guide of $1.26 billion. The company said this revenue guidance represents around 80% year over year growth for the full year. Tempus AI's acquisition of Page is expected to increase losses by around $5 million per quarter, with the company guiding for fourth quarter adjusted EBITDA of around $20 million. The company expects to have slightly positive adjusted EBITDA in the full fiscal year. Is anyone still trading Tempest? I know that this was a very popular stock for a long time. I can't remember if this kind of just fell by the wayside, or if you guys are still trading this. Let me know. Let me know what the thought here is on Tempest. Okay. As mentioned, folks, there is not going to be Tim Melvin today. Everything's okay. Don't worry. And he's definitely sorry that he missed you. He will be back. But for today, he had an appointment and he couldn't make it. But you're in luck. You're in luck because I have Anne-Marie Band, who we missed yesterday, hopping on here with me today. Let's go ahead and bring her on and say hello. Anne-Marie, good Wednesday morning. I know we're normally together on Tuesday. How you doing here today?
I'm doing great. Thinkorswim still installing a couple of updates because I'm on another machine. And so just waiting for it to.
So, it's funny that you mentioned that because one of the things that I noticed over the weekend, there was a huge update to Thinkorswim. And I wasn't necessarily sure at first because I also installed an uninterruptible power supply in my office and I'm getting better computer performance across the board on multiple machines because of it. When I loaded up Thinkorswim,
you got to send me a link to what
I got you. I dropped it in the chat yesterday. I will send it to you, the exact same one. It's not even really that expensive. I'm blown away by. I didn't expect any performance gains, and I got them. But this coincided with the fact that my level 2 on Thinkorswim looked entirely different and was way better. I feel like I'm getting more. I'm able to see more of the ladder, more on the bid and the ask. The numbers are much bigger. I feel like I have a much better idea of how much stock is available for sale there. I polled the group. They all noticed it too, and not everyone installed a UPS system. So it was clearly part of that update. So sorry that the computer is still updating. But what I will say here is I think you're going to be pretty happy because it looks like some of the stuff that they did was actually quite good.
All right. So
while
we can talk about things. Yeah.
While it's updating, I know normally when we bring you on, the market is actually open, so it's a little bit different this time. But let's maybe focus on some setups here, and we can start with the stock charts. I'll go ahead and drive. Do you have any stocks today that you think make attractive option trades?
So before I talk about that, I do want to say that across the board, open interest in the futures market has risen. I know you normally have, doesn't Dave come on? What day does Dave come on? David. Yeah. What
tomorrow?
Yeah. Okay. So we had a dip in open interest last week, a rise in open interest this week, and my morning video.
Let's all follow Cam's lead here, not be violent, but please smash up that like button for Anne-Marie. Cam, you got a laugh out of Anne-Marie, so you're doing well this morning.
Oh, that's awesome. So this open interest tells us that they are still preparing for the seasonality of the latter part of the year. And they're just using this opportunity as the dip comes in to sort of position in some nicer spot. So the question is, what do we have going on? I did not get a chance to look at what AMD did last night. Did you get that info?
Yeah. Well, I don't know what necessarily info you're referring to unless it's just actual earnings report. Here you go for AMD. Yes. They did report. Now they're down 2.54% here on the back of their third quarter earnings, but they're up off the lows. This is what it looks like inside.
All right. So a dip event here is probably coming. Look at this. We got charts. Look. Yay. Sorry.
Oh, on your computer? Perfect. Let me. I'll go ahead and share those here. Here you go.
It's the little things, folks.
Hey, that's right. You got that right.
So we know that AMD has sort of been this laggard with the other chip events, but it could also be setting up as something that hasn't run so hot that you could actually take a shot at positioning. So my thought would be, into December, you could sell a short put spread. So that gives you freedom if it fades, and then upward traction if it moves to the north. If we follow dear old Nancy, having a husband that runs a hedge fund, probably not a bad idea as insider, feeding that insider information.
I'd say.
So, yeah. So Tempest is actually in a pretty nice spot, looking at this really wide space. Seasonality has it on a little bit of a dip. So let me put it on the weekly here. Oh, it's not showing up because it doesn't have enough years. All right. So it's got it sitting on a little bit of a dip, but a run into the end of the year. And so I'm going to draw a line in the sand that goes vertically where the dip action is. And so I'm still testing this indicator and wanting to see how the plot changes over time. But this is also a pretty solid one. And as the calls, to make a long call position out into December, not a bad idea. The question is, where do you want to put it and how much risk do you want to have? And so this thing really shows us a dip into the 20th of November across a lot of things. I see this downward dip from a seasonality perspective. I'm literally seeing scores and scores of charts that are showing this potential dip before a lift. And that dip event looks like around this 75 area. So easily you could take a position there with something like a call spread into December, right? We'll just follow Nancy, right? She's got the 90s sitting here. What might be interesting is if we do a calendar spread. And that calendar spread might not give us a ton, but it would help with the cash that we may or may not need if this rotates downward. So we could sell the 85 calls in November on the 28th, and then just a few days later, for this one, we could buy that 85 call outright. And so it only costs us $2, and we get in at the money, just about at the money. And if it's got upshot and you have the right to buy, remember, for those of us maybe who are a little bit newer with calls, when you buy an option, you have a right. When you sell an option, you create an obligation. And so if we buy this 85, we have a right to buy it at 85 in December, even if it's printing 100. So literally, if you do this and it has that lag into the end of November, you've got yourself literally a $2 trade at the money in this space, and you can, whatever it is, whether it's 100, whether it's 90, whether it's whatever, you want to hold it for the long haul, great opportunity there. That's my suggestion from Tempest. And, whether we like it or not, big government knows, and government in general, they just know what's going on. And that's why I love that tab in Benzinga Pro.
Yeah.
Right? For who's doing what. And so I like that one.
And one of the things that I want to do is create some more alert functionality around that, so we can be alerted of some of these new purchases and then go at them as soon as possible. So that's something else that's coming on the back of that, which is really good news. Okay, let me ask you here real quick. What happens if this doesn't dip at all?
So your total risk is $2, because if all of a sudden it doesn't dip and it runs all the way to 100, your risk is $2. That's it. Now, if you're saying, well, I don't want a $2 risk, you could also sell the 60. What do we want to do here? I think the spread should be 10 wide. The 65.55 put spread, that allows you, if it does dip into 65, you get the stock super cheap. You still have your December option on the bounce, but now the call spread is now 50 cents. So I like that as a hedge.
Okay.
Also, that's a great question, though.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, because we're trying to time this here, and I mean, anyone that's dealt with the market realizes that you can have the best laid plans in the world, and the timing just doesn't work out with it. So,
Exactly.
This is at least a good way to maybe kind of hedge that off there.
Yeah.
Okay. What else do you want to take a look at? Any other appealing option trades that you see out there today?
You know, I really want to see what it is that the charts do. You know, if we take a look at SPY and we stare down what's going on, if we stare down this SPY, we could essentially be coming into a pretty nice support zone. Again, this is the dip that I've been telling you that I see across all the charts. It's right into that edge. I see it all over the place. We could
and Emery, let me just pause right here, because before you came on, I got asked a question here. Ryan, do you think the selling is over? And I said, no, probably not. And now here you are coming on, bringing up all of these charts where you're saying you're seeing a dip and a reversal. It looks like that date there, November 17th. Am I reading that right? It looks like
Correct.
So it looks like for the next week or two here, maybe there could be some more downside movement here. But ultimately, before the holidays, we do see this bouncing higher. See, Boogie, let me know if this is helpful at all for you. I know you had a direct question about that.
Yeah. And so what's the difficulty forming here are all these gaps. We have gaps to the downside. We have gaps to the upside. Yep. And these things they don't have to, but auction theory suggests that traders will want to fill in these prices. And so we've got ourselves a potential dip event into the $670 area in SPY. Here's the rub. Right now, because big money is seeing a seasonality event playing out, and we're seeing open interest rise in the futures market into this downward fade, the big question is, well, is open interest rising because they want to play it harder to the downside, or is it rising because they expect a bounce? And my supposition is option number 2, because seasonality, the closing of quantitative tightening, which is going to lead to quantitative easing, that's going to give us liquidity. If you want to know what the big thing to watch is, it's Bitcoin. But we can also do that with Bitcoin shares, not Bitcoin shares, ETF. This is a very liquid ETF, IBIT. And you can see they are also looking at these dip zones. It's just a very interesting thing you're seeing across the board. Now, these are just probabilities. We have no idea whether they're going to hold or not. But what we do know is when this selling stops, liquidity is going to come back into the market like a house of fire. And so right now, if you're staring down something and you go, all right, let's see how this goes, We want this IBIT to bounce up over 60. Again, these sorts of things give us a relative calendar spread event, and there's a little bit of optionality here. Here is the 60. Let's try the 63. And then we'll go here. And let's try the 63 here, right? 98 cents. We have the movement into November. We might actually need to move this backwards because the actual November tilt to the north is right around this 21. And we could see that it takes a lot more premium there. Now, you could have a little bit of a wonky trade here. If you're into it, you can actually add 2 more legs here in a custom spread that gives you 68 to 71. It trims down about 30% of what you're looking at, but it protects you in a longer space. But I think that that's just too complicated for most. You could also go to December and say, listen, I'm just going to buy the 63, 68 call spread. It's $1. And, that looks like a pretty good run up to me, certainly into the 63 area. So, but that's where you want to look for what's happening with liquidity, right? You can see all these altcoins just getting destroyed across the space. That's people going, time to ring the register. I am pulling risk off of the table. And you can see it in these altcoins very clearly.
And it looks like Bitcoin, as far as Bitcoin goes, it is trying to bounce off that 100,000. I know it gave it up yesterday. Today it's about 103 here. So it looks like it's trying to bounce. How high will that go? That's what's yet to be seen.
I'm guessing, I'm going to wager that it's going to run potentially to 107. There's a big resistance zone there.
Okay.
And then, come along, Sally. Yeah. Big resistance zone here at this 107, 107.6, right? It's old support. Lot of inventory accumulation here. I would anticipate it would try to bounce, but we've got ourselves a potential fade down into 90 or so. My projection here has us coming back to the 78, 76 zone. That's just a thought about what might go on as we continue in the war machine, right?
Okay. All right. So one thing that I'm noticing here from the levels that you just gave, if Bitcoin does bounce and find some resistance up near that 107 where you have that resistance area, that would then create another lower high. And that would really kind of play out to your ultimately your longer move down there to 70. What did you say, 75 or that 74, 415 you have?
Yeah, 74 to 78. So how will I know I'm wrong? It's going to sit above 107. It's going to breach 110, and then it's going to pull back and hold 107. And that is what I'm staring down right here from this space. That's why, see, all of this is an inventory event, building inventory, building inventory, building inventory. They broke through it. And so the goal now is, can the traders get back into the space where everybody agreed, hey, this is a pretty good price to pay for it? If they cannot, there's another liquidation event to the downside. So that's my thought. The last thing that I want to discuss is something from the webinar last night, which for those of you that don't sign up for these, you're missing out, especially if you want sneak peeks inside of Benzinga Pro.
Yep.
Big opportunities to do that. Now, we have had energy in a little bit of a depressed space. A lot of the weaker energy names have been losing steam. Some of the AI energy names are still holding themselves together, like Bloom and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if Bloom or Ockler or any of those guys have actually even made any money. I don't know. But
not yet.
yeah. So big gamble there. But great balance sheet with these guys. They've got tentacles everywhere. They just reported they beat earnings, but as we've seen, a lot of stocks that are beating earnings are not holding their framework. So we're coming into the 3-day cycle event. And that is, if you want to know whether a stock's got legs after its earnings event, give it 3 days. And on the 4th day, if it's come into support and lifted, you've got yourself another upshot. That is what our seasonality picture is telling us. But notice, this run up takes a savage fade right down into a deeper support zone where we're seeing all. So here's the thing. Could this be a hallucination of the system running here that's being propagated into all of the charts? Absolutely, right? It could very well be. It could be a programming event. Mm-hmm. But if not, we're seeing this fade. Great opportunity once again for the wait state of the test, or making sure that if you sell a put spread, you go down into the 150 area. That's my thought. You go into December and you sell that 150 to 140 put spread, you get $2, and then, you know, if you're into it, you buy the 155, 165 call spread, and it's basically free if the price action runs to the north as seasonality expects. If not, and it fades, you have the opportunity of being put to the stock or rolling it forward in time. Those are choices, ways to get in or out of that space.
Okay. Anne-Marie, awesome stuff. I know, again, we normally see you on Tuesday. Thanks for being flexible and joining us here on a Wednesday. Awesome to have this kind of prepared. So if anyone wants to take these right out of the open, you can just kind of get it all set up.
Exactly.
Okay. Anne-Marie, really good stuff. Good luck with all of the computer things. We're going to see you on Friday, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Amazing.
Right.
Folks, that is Anne-Marie on a special Wednesday appearance. Thank you, Anne-Marie. We'll see you on Friday. All right, folks, that does it for Anne-Marie. We are expecting 13 here pretty soon. Happy to cover any of the stock. We can actually dive into the movers already if you want. Let's see if any of those changed. No, these were a lot of the same that we saw earlier. So not really a whole lot going on here. Can't really see what ETF was she using for Bitcoin. She was using IBIT, ticker IBIT. IBIT. Good question, though. Okay. Let's do a real quick check on what some of the earnings are here. Again, here this morning, we can check in on some of these. McDonald's, that was probably the biggest one, I would say, this morning. McDonald's not really moving a whole lot, really just kind of holding here at 302.41. What else did we have on this list? Teva, I know that gets mentioned in this chat for some reason. Teva actually had pretty good earnings here. That looking like it's going to try and break out and go higher. $23 there. a pretty good looking chart there on Teva. But let's go ahead and knock out some of those movers. Got our main man 13 here. Let's go ahead and bring him on. 13, good morning, bro. How are you doing on this fine Wednesday?
I'm doing pretty good. Had a nice evening. Looking forward to seeing what the morning's going to produce. How's everybody in the chat? How are you?
Everyone seems good. Everyone seems good. No complaints. Nothing like that. Jonathan, that Ryan, Japan and Korea markets, massive moves the last month. You were asking me if we saw that. I don't really look at the Japanese market a whole lot. We talk about that a lot on Happy Hour. It seems to me like there was a lot of excitement about the new prime minister for Japan. Maybe that's it. But no, I'm sorry, man. I don't have a whole lot for you. What are you trying to get? What are we trying to get? What are you trying to get out of that? Let me know. All right. 13, you want to start with some of the movers here? You got any on your list that you covered already?
I got several.
All right. I'm going to start with SMX then.
All right. Let's go.
All right. SMX. This is one that we've traded here before. Security matters. We did pop as high as 280 earlier today. We've come back in a little bit, but nothing crazy. The news that we got happened yesterday after hours. Shares are trading higher after SMX and Cartif entered into a non-binding letter of intent to integrate SMX's end-to-end tracing platform into Cartif's portfolio and Industry 5.0 products. I guess we actually got that in the afternoon here prior to the close. But stock moved up in the after hours, doing a good job holding here higher by 38.78%. Just right about at that $2 area. We do have some significant short interest here. Let me see. Did we have anything with the float changing? I've got a float of 1.42 million. Is that what you have, 13?
Yeah, 1.42.
Okay, so we do have some short interest here. It looks like it says it's 56%, but I would guess that that's not been updated since the float changed. What?
Well, look at the chart. You might think otherwise.
Okay, so I'm just going to keep reading it here because I don't have all those things lined out in front of me, and I did not prepare for this list because I prepare for the news and the other stocks here. Sorry about that. 56.67% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover comes on an average volume of 704,000 shares. Today we've traded about 30 million. Float on this is 1.42 million as just discussed. What are you thinking here, 13?
I think I'd like for you to go to the daily chart and just go ahead and look to the left. As much as you can, just look to the left. This
hate these charts so much.
That's you're already seeing it. So this company has gone through 4 reverse splits this year, with the most recent one being on October 23rd. It was a 10.9 for 1. So this company is just reverse splitting itself into oblivion, and it does need cash. So I don't think that it's done doing this yet. Well, maybe for now it is because it does have a float of 1.42 million. But the company needs capital. They're going to have to raise it, likely through more share dilution, and the process is just going to repeat. As far as the trade here today, this is down at the it was down just moments ago at the 200 EMA on the 5-minute chart. That's a support area as the impulse move from looks like yesterday after hours took us up to about 196. And that was where it found resistance. Finally broke through it in the pre-market here, taking it all the way up to 286. We've since backed off at that level after trying to push higher. Wasn't able to do it. We've lost VWAP in the process. Not able to recapture on the way down. So this thing is continuing to go lower. But I still think that support area from that first impulse move in the after hours yesterday is going to be support for the time being. If this cannot recapture VWAP sometime after we open, probably just going to end up losing the 200 EMA and go further south.
Okay. JJ's asking, what's the float? 1.42 million is what I have for the float figure on SMX.
Very, very low float. So this could get pushed around. We could draw a trend line. That could all happen. But once we're done trading this thing, be out, because I don't think this is a really good stock you want to be in. Just look at look at how much share dilution we've had this year alone.
I mean, look at this is an hourly chart.
Yeah.
Look at this. October has not been good for us.
No.
For SMX, this looks spooky. Awful.
Yeah. So if it provides a trade, we'll take it, but we'll be done with it after that. And I don't think we want to stick around in this thing. So hopefully nobody else does.
Okay. All right, next here is going to be apps. This is ticker APPS. This is Digital Turbine. This did spike in the after hours. Looks like 750 is what stopped it. We have gone higher here today, stopped at 8 there. Digital Turbine shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q2 financial results and raised its full year 26 sales guidance above estimates. So good earnings report here, good catalyst, beat and raise. Stock is going higher. Quick look at the short interest on this name here, 7.97% of the float shorted with 2.71 days to cover. Comes on an average volume of 3.3 million shares. We've traded a third of that already here. Float much thicker at 106 plus million shares on this. What do you have here for us on apps 13? I think a trend line, right? I kind of see it just jumping off here.
Yep. I already got that drawn. And this company, it does have a couple quarters of cash. Their float's a little larger than the one we were just talking about by a pretty large margin. 106 million shares that this company has in the float. But like I said, they've got a couple of quarters worth of cash. They do have some revenue. They're going to be fine for now. They're probably going to have to raise capital at some point soon in the future. Don't know if that's going to be today or not. I mean, could be, but I don't know that they will. If this continues to come in, here's several different areas of where support could be found. We're at one of them right now. This was the impulse, not the first impulse, the secondary impulse move in the after hours yesterday that took us up to the after hours high that we backed off of and didn't revisit until the pre-market this morning. So that high there, which is going to be at about looks like 765, that's going to be a support area, as is the area down around 750. That attempt to recapture the area that failed, that's going to have some support. And of course, the 65 EMA. So those are the next three downside areas for apps if we start to lose the VWAP. But if we hold here and we start trading up into the open, we're going to want to see a break of this trend line.
Okay, I've got VWAP there, 764. Maybe that supports it. Maybe we do test this trend line. We'll be watching apps, APPS.
764 is right at where that high from the after hours is at 765. That's what we need to hold.
Okay.
And real quick, this is a little bit of a side note here, not with apps, but with what Samel's saying. This is some good information about different international ETFs, and I have a couple. I'll have to go through my into my retirement account and see what the ones I'm holding. But international markets have been doing really well. So
Tim Melvin has been talking about that for months, literally months. I've been bringing him on every Wednesday here to talk about the same thing.
I'll get you some of those ETFs that I've been holding on to, for over a year now with this thing. So thank you for bringing that up, Samel. Let's get back to the movers.
Okay. Next here. Okay. Easy enough. Next here is ticker BW. This is Babcock and Wilcox. This spiked up to 550 in the after hours yesterday. It's come back in a little bit here today. Take a look at this. They're at a couple of things. So here's this morning. And then they had the news after hours yesterday. They announced an AI data center power generation solution and signs an LNTP with Applied Digital and Design to install 1 gigawatt of electric power. They also announces AI data center project and reports third quarter results here. So here's a little breakdown on this. Babcock and Wilcox Enterprises announces an agreement, for a limited notice to proceed for a project valued at over $1.5 billion to deliver 1 gigawatt of power for an Applied Digital AI factory. The other ticker that this is involved with, obviously APLD, which is another popular one amongst the group here. They plan to design and install the plant's 4 300 megawatt natural gas-fired power plants consisting of proven boilers and associated steam turbines. They also had a EPS beat, 6-cent loss versus the 9-cent estimate, and sales missed at 149 million versus the 155 and change estimate. Stock is up 26.5% here today. Take a look at the short interest on this name, 3.38% of the float shorted with 1.03 days to cover. This comes on an average volume of 2.57 million shares today. We've traded 3 million already. Float here is 68.4 million. What are you thinking, 13?
I didn't cover this one, but let me see if I'm on pace here. This company is basically creating some kind of power generation factory through the use of natural gas and steam. And this is going to be powering AI data centers?
Yeah.
Okay. Where is this being built? Is I guess what I would want to know. But anyway, I guess that's not as important as what can we trade off of this here. Looking at the chart, we do have a bit of a downtrend that we're in after hitting 555 and the impulse move in the after hours yesterday.
I think this is being built in Ohio.
Okay. Okay. Well, it looks like we're trying to. Well, we did recapture the VWAP just moments ago and the 65 EMA. So this is what we're going to want to see hold into the open. There is some pretty tough supply here above us, starting at about 475, and that doesn't really end until about $5. But if we can slowly chew our way through this, then we might be able to get some better movement out of the open. I don't think that we want to take 555 off our radar. We've already had one attempt to get back up there earlier this morning. This recapture of the VWAP and the 65 EMA is encouraging, and it could mean that we see it recaptured later on after the open. But first things first, need to hold above this VWAP and the 65 EMA. The next big area that I see resistance is going to be about 480. But that's within the whole channel of supply I just mentioned. Should see it trade a little bit better as soon as it gets up to the 5 handle.
Okay, really good stuff there. BW. Yeah, they're HQ'd in Ohio, Biggabees. That's why I said that. I think that this project is in Ohio, but it didn't specify from me skimming the PR there. Probably not that difficult to find out. Just need to look into it. But I do think it is, in fact, Ohio. Okay, next here is going to be Unity Software. This is ticker U. This is moving on a legit earnings catalyst. Unity Software shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q3 earnings and revenue and issued Q4 sales guidance above the estimates here. 36 to 42.68, so about 42 and a half here. Stock is up nearly 20% on that. Take a look at the daily chart here. This is interesting because we're basically still beneath this 47. I got to be honest with you. I think 47 is probably going to get tested in the near future here. Maybe not today, but in the near future. Quick look at the short interest on this name. 5.39% of the float shorted. Hit the wrong thing there. With 1.91 days to cover. That comes on an average volume of 11.52 million. Today it's traded 2.1 million. Float on this is 402 million. What do you think on this one? What do you think on Unity? Unity. I think of that Chappelle show every time I pull this stock up. I can't stop myself. I try, but it doesn't work.
Man, the Charlie Murphy episodes were the best.
They are the absolute best.
Unity Software company is still losing a lot of money, and they have a lot of money, fortunately, to lose. They have over 1.7 billion in the bank, but they lose about 100 million a quarter. So I know the story with Unity Software. It's still great, but they need to make a move towards that being profitable. This earnings certainly helped that because they had positive earnings, not negative EPS like it was expected. So that's a good sign. I don't think we've seen that show up in the financials tab yet. So we'll have a better opinion of that when that lines up with everything else I have there. As far as where this goes, it looks like there was a resistance area at about just shy of $44. If you look at a daily chart and you look to the left, you can see at about 44, close to where we're at now. And back in December of 2023, there was a high there of about 43.50. And that's an area that has been getting hit ever since it came down into this range. Like we dropped down here in May of 22, went as low as $20 after that, and then we tried to recapture that after multiple attempts of not being able to get back above 45, with save one instance in 2023 that popped us up to 50. It just ended up sinking lower. Now it looks like we're starting to turn around after forming a base in 2024. So as long as we can hold, I would say, this could, I don't know if this is going to come down to 35, but as long as we hold 35 and the 50-day SMA, there's still some more upside to be had. I would like to see a break over the 43.50 area and try to make a run for 50. What happens after 50? At 50? Not sure. Maybe we go higher. There's still some more upside levels we can take a look at, but for now, let's see what happens this morning with 43.50 and $50.
Okay. Good stuff there on Unity. We'll see if we get. Yes. Producer did it. Look at producer.
Yes, Jay. This quarter was profitable. I'm looking at the financials tab, which I don't think it. I was just mentioning. I don't think it's updated for this quarter yet. But yes, this quarter was profitable. So we'll see if this can continue.
Okay. Day Trader says Grok says the Babcock and Wilcox project that's tied to APLD is in North Dakota. Okay, so the company's headquartered in Ohio. Looks like the project is in North Dakota. Sorry, I got asked. I didn't know the answer to the question. I'm not gonna. What do you want me to do? Lie to you guys? I quickly tried to skim that to find it out for you. Thank you for doing some of the legwork on that. Appreciate that. Blessed Trader, new handle. It's Michelle. Oh, hi, Michelle. Hey, Ryan, did you post the battery backup you bought again today yet? If not, I'll go back to yesterday. No, and I was supposed to do that here for Anne-Marie. Let me do that in a sec. Let me go to the next stock here, turn it over to 13, and then I'll start digging that up there. Next stock that we have here is ticker DOCN. This is Digital Ocean Holdings. Digital Ocean Holdings shares were trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q3 financial results and raised its full year 25 sales guidance above estimates. Stock here at 46.25 in the pre-market. This up 19%. Here's a quick look at the daily chart just to get an idea of where we're at. Looks like we just took out this recent high and maybe making a move towards this $47 level. See if we end up getting that. Quick look at the short interest on this name. 15.16% of the float short with 3 days to cover, comes on an average volume of 3.09 million. Today, we've only traded 604,000 shares in the pre-market. You got any thoughts on this one, 13?
So this initially cut their fiscal year EPS view lower, but it looks like that was the initial drop, but then it rallied after that. So, okay. I didn't look at this one too much, but let's see what I can figure out here. So you mentioned the short interest on this?
Yeah. Do you need me to give that to you again?
No. I just wanted to make sure you did because I was trying to look at this while you were talking. So it has the short interest, profitable, has been for a while. It looks like. You look at the charts, see what I can figure from this. So we do have a bit of an uptrend here. You can even draw a trend line if you want. Looks like it's starting to run out of steam, but if it can hold above 45, then there might be some more upside to be had after we open. But right now, the MACD is starting to indicate that this is getting a little bit weak. But I'm not saying it's going to roll over and go lower just yet. It still could find support at that 45 level, or even if it starts to come in, it could get support around 43.80, 43.90, just above the VWAP. So that's kind of what I see with DOCN. Should continue to trade pretty well, but let's see what we get out of the open because it's starting to look like it's going to come back in a little bit.
Okay. All right. That's what we have here on DOCN. Do you have any others on your list here?
Well, I did look at some others, but I realized that they didn't really have a whole lot of volume, so they ended up high on the movers list, but there's really not a whole lot to them, and that was EVC, which had earnings, and KW, which was a buyout offer.
Okay. We also had BQ. This is one I know that we were talking about the other day. This was, I think, getting halted a whole bunch. Yeah, this was back on Monday. They're higher here in the pre-market. I don't know if this is going to give us a trade. This is this junky China stock, though. Okay.
Maybe. I mean, this could be. They could just be pushing this thing again. This looking at the daily chart, it seems like this has a history of just randomly getting popped big time and then just coming right back in. If you're going to trade BQ, just understand what you're trading and the risks that come with it. This is dangerous, but
yeah, also
highly profitable.
Okay, I mentioned Teva here. This is higher on the back of its earnings, actually taking another leg up here in the pre-market. Here's a quick look at the daily chart on Teva. See where we're at. Let's see if we can get. Did we? Yes, we did. We cleared that recent high there. It was right about just shy of 23. Here we are, 23.19, up 13% in the pre-market here on Teva.
Coming up to some of the highs from 2018, the summer of 2018, and it looks like 24 is going to be the start of some of the peaks from that summer. So June through pretty much actually the rest of the year in 2018. We have levels we can look at 24, probably even 25, like 25 and a quarter. And then also 26. those are some of the next upside levels that we're facing resistance in the year of 2018. But if we can get above $26, then there's a big gap to fill. That takes it all the way up over 30.
Okay. All right. It is a huge turnaround, Jay. I'm curious to see where this ends up going to next, but no position for me as well. All right, 13. Anything else that you want to take a look at?
Nope.
I think someone was asking to take a look at NUAI.
Okay.
I think that was Tara that was asking about this. That might have been during Anne Marie's segment. She was asking about this. Here's the chart, though. This is New Era Energy and Digital. This has been another one that's been on a pretty huge run here. I don't think there was anything new going on with this.
No. Yeah, I think there may be some kind of AI angle to this. I'd have to read into this some more to actually see if that's the case. But really, really great price action here that's been having since September. Now we also have a golden cross that occurred late last month. We have some resistance at just shy of 8. And if this starts to come back in, I think the 20-day SMA is probably going to be one of the best areas of support, if not $5. So that's what I think about that one.
Okay. All right. SoFi is another one that you folks want to take a look at. I feel like we've looked at SoFi quite a bit here recently. SoFi still holding up near the highs, but has pulled back. Looked like this was going to try and break out and go higher past 30, but sitting right here at just under 30, still sitting above the 20-day on SoFi. We didn't have any news on this either, did we? Nope. None of that was fresh. Truist yesterday raised the price target here to 31. We're pretty much already there. Let's see what the rest of the price targets are on this.
I think with SoFi,
we're pretty much right near all of the high end of the price ranges. Sorry, 13.
It seems to me with SoFi right now, for it to just go sideways would probably be the best thing for it. It's not overdone. It's had a nice move up to where it's at now, but it's not really overextended. It's not overbought or anything. I think if this doesn't sell off and start losing these moving averages like the 20 and the 50 and start losing levels going down under 25, but instead go sideways, I think that'd probably be the best thing for it right now. And then after this holiday season, when it reports earnings, then we can hope for some really big numbers. But I think right now I wouldn't want it to go higher, nor would I really want it to break down. I think sideways would be the best thing for this at the moment. That's just my opinion.
Okay. All right, 13 minutes till we open. I'm pretty much ready to go here, to be quite honest with you. I guess we can keep looking at charts that folks want.
Well, let me.
Got anything?
While we have this time, let me just go and. Our RGTZ that started rising again. Or I'm sorry, not rising, falling. I think. What's Rigetti? I was going to go and pull those ETFs I was talking about earlier. So it looks like Rigetti is getting a bounce after we tested that area down around 34, same area that we bounced off of on Wednesday, October 22nd. So we might get a brief bounce here. I don't know how much we're going to bounce off this level. It could take us back up to 41. I don't want to say it's impossible that it's going to get back up to the 20-day SMA, but it still could. It would be surprising, but it still could. I don't think we're going to continue, go a whole lot higher than where we've been topping out at this past couple of weeks. Still feels like this thing is starting to continue to lower. But next week could change all that if their earnings are, getting enough people excited. And that's going to happen on Monday. But for this week, I still think that we could end up testing that 50-day SMA. So we'll see what we end up getting here. Now, let me
really quickly, PLTZ. This is another one of the shorts that we've kind of been trading here. This has actually been pretty good. I told you guys I added a little bit yesterday. I actually added a little bit later in the afternoon when we were off the show, and I did sell a little bit in the after hours because we got such a nice little pop up here. I actually didn't even sell at the highs. I was in the 640s here. I still have some. So I'm doing all right on it. And the remaining position that I have here, I'm not up on. Looks like my cost basis here on this one, 665. Oh, really close. So 665. So have a little bit of this left. Would be interested in selling this today if we can get any type of pull on Palantir. Otherwise, if PLTZ drops below 6, I'll probably just cut the remainder of the position and then wait to reload when it makes sense. These inverse ETFs have been really, really good trades. Got to be honest, got to be able to trade them back and forth a little bit. Sitting on it and timing it for the big move, not easy to do, but trading it back and forth, scaling in and out, that has worked pretty well. PLTZ still have a little bit left, but started selling a little bit of this.
Sorry, I'm just writing down some of the tickers I said.
All good.
Grab.
All good. I'll keep going through some of the chat here. Carl, what are you asking about? I love the BZ Pro and the pre-market summaries on email before kickoff. For some reason, I didn't get them today. Okay. I'm sorry, man. I can't do support while I'm live on the show here. If you could email me or reach out to our support team, I'm sure somebody can help you. Sounds like maybe the email just wasn't sent for some reason. Not much I can do for you here, my man. I'm sorry about that. All right. Were you ready?
Sure. So let me just give you a couple tickers. So some of the ones that I'm invested in here for emerging markets, since that's what we were talking about when Samel was bringing that up. SCZ, IEMG, and IEFA. There's also a mutual fund, and this isn't going to really, work in pro or maybe even in your broker. But I have a mutual fund as well, FNWFX. These are some of the funds and
I don't know, FNWFX.
Yeah, this is, like I said, this is a fund.
Yeah,
it's a fund.
Yeah.
So it's a mutual fund. So you're likely not going to pick it up in pro or maybe even your broker, but your financial advisor will be able to get it for you. FNWFX, that's a New World Fund. And then, of course, I said some other emerging market ETFs that I'm invested in, been invested with these for over a year now. SCZ, IEMG, IEFA.
IEMG. You know what you might want to do, 13? Those are tough. I would put those tickers in the chat. I would put those tickers in the chat here. Okay, real quick here. Ryan, any thoughts on FIG today? I have no idea if this stock's going to beat earnings, if that's what you're asking about. They report earnings here after the close. This chart looks like death. I would absolutely not be playing this for earnings. I have no angle on this one way or another. What I will say here is that the stocks that have traded up into earnings generally haven't done that well. This is the opposite of that. So maybe this does end up trading pretty well. Maybe they put up a surprise number here and beat some of those estimates and trade higher. I have zero interest in this. Okay. Kendall's asking, what is a manageable amount of positions a trader should have? There is no one answer for that. That is individual to the specific trader. If I have active positions that I'm managing, generally I don't like to have more than 2, to be quite honest with you. As far as just holding things for like a swing or a longer term, you can do a lot more than that. If you include investments, I don't think there is a cap. But in terms of like actively trading positions throughout the course of the day, that you intend or hope to be flat on at the end of the day, I generally don't like more than 2. There are some traders probably in here that will manage EKS, Crow, Izzy, Jay. You guys that are active every day, how many do you guys manage? Let's get some more thoughts there from the chat. I generally don't like spreading myself too thin. I feel like I miss things and I'm late to stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like if I'm not, doing a show and I'm just completely focused on what I'm doing, it'll probably be, somewhere around 5 to 10, but I wouldn't take it beyond that much.
Okay. Amanda says I can't handle more than 1. Peter Kate says no more than 3. Ryan says 10.
Yeah. Sometimes it's really just
the
best to just keep it small, especially if it's one of these days where it's like low volume, not a whole lot of things moving. If there's not enough movers, then you probably won't even trade the 5.
Yeah, and again, what I'm talking about here are active positions, like active trades. Like I've got a bunch of swings and a bunch of investments. I don't really count those because I'm holding those for a long time frame anyway. The answer to the question I'm giving you are ones that I'm like checking in on the market action or any short-term movements. I found I do much better with swings on quality stocks. Me too, Amanda. Took me a while to learn for that. Bharat, who's been killing it here. For me, only one position at a time in day trading.
Big bear hug. I think you're absolutely right with Oklo. That does look like a pretty clear head and shoulders with the neckline at about 110, maybe slightly under that. And we're at risk of breaking down here pretty soon. We just lost the 50-day SMA yesterday, so this is not looking too good for upside. I would think that this is going to end up breaking down at some point, and we're going to come down towards 80. Well, let's just start with 90. Certainly looks like we're going to go to 90, 85 maybe.
I got 100 here as the trend line that I remember back when. I remember back when we broke out from this trend line, we all kind of thought, this is a ridiculous move. This is going to come back to earth at some point here. Now we have a head and shoulders here. I got your first target here, this trend line right at about $100. I think that's probably the next stop. Bharat still short here. Target to 30 on that short. Oh my God, Bharat. That would be an unbelievable trade if you end up covering that puppy at 30.
Wow, that's even lower than the 500-day SMA. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see where he's. Okay. Yeah. That would be a pretty far fall. We were just talking about high rises and falling off of those earlier this week. That would be akin. And isn't that very building that you sent me the video of? Isn't that under some having some structural problems?
I don't know. Oh my God, really? Look, all I did is I had my YouTube algorithm fed me something where I was like, oh, let me look at this. And instantly, as soon as I started playing the video, I was anxious. I literally spent the entire time watching the video like anxious, and to hear that the building has a structural problem. Oh my God.
I mean, I don't know if it's that one. There's like several in Billionaires Row that are really tall, but if that's the same one that Jennifer Lopez owned for a year in like 2018, then yeah, that's facing some real big structural problems. It's got a lot of cracks. It's looking like it could be $160 million just to fix all this. So
no bueno.
Yeah.
No bueno.
I'm taking care of that.
Okay. All right. Any other chart that you want to take a look at?
What do the folks want to look at? Looks like we're getting a question about MLTX.
You want me to pull that up here?
Sure.
I'm actually going to. Here's the daily chart. You know what? With the big drop off that we had here, let me actually go to a 15-minute and zoom out. This will give us more of an idea of what's going on here. 13. Go ahead. I'm going to step away for 1 sec, but I'll be right back.
Okay, so not sure what caused this massive drop here, but let's see if we can figure that out. So this happened on Monday, September 29th. There might have been some news the day or the trading day before, which is a Friday. Let's look at our news and see what caused this. And okay, so they got double downgraded to underperform, and this was over something else. I don't think it was the downgrades. It must have been some other. Might have been. Yeah, give me a second. I'm trying to figure out what caused this big move down. Might have been some results of their phase 3 trial. It seems like they were positive. Might have to do with their capital. Anybody know the real reason this thing went down, MLTX? I'm not seeing the reason, but let's take a look at the price action today, see if we can get anything out of it. I don't know what took that thing down. Must have been something bad with their one of their clinical trials. As far as today goes, this is trying to get back up towards its VWAP. I have that at 1095. Looks like we did get a little bit of support in the area of the 65 EMA earlier this morning. The price action yesterday, the highs, that might also provide some support, as it seems to have done in the pre-market here. So what we're going to want to see as we approach the open, which is going to happen in less than a minute from now, is we're going to want to see this recapture these smaller time frame EMAs, the 9 and the 15, and try to at least get up to 1075. Now, we want to get over 11 because that's where the VWAP, it's higher than the VWAP. But this is looking like it's trying to form a base and trying to turn back up and trying to go higher. So first step, let's see if we can get to 1075, and then we'll see what happens with VWAP. But I don't know the reason that had such a huge fall. They have to spend some time looking at the exact reason.
Okay. All right, I'm going to flip back over to the main workspace here since we are about to open. It looks like LNAI, based on several of the chatters here. LNAI seems to be doing something. Let me take a look here.
Yeah, it's now over $1. Published second-gen allogenic dendritic cell therapy in the Vaccines Journal.
Okay, it sounded like you really meant what you said, but I don't really know what you said. So
they also are phasing NASDAQ non-compliance, so that's something to be aware of there too. We are open.
We are open.
All right, so apps, we had a pop that ran up to that trend line that we drew right up to 819, and then we got pulled down right at the open, and now we're falling big time here. Actually, we just fell through the 65 EMA. We are selling off here, folks, with apps, and we haven't gone to a halt yet, but that is a ugly move down. SMX, meanwhile, this also popped into the opening print. Hasn't sold off yet, but it isn't going much higher. Looking to get some support from the 65 EMA that it just moved over into the open. So now that's become support. We'll see if it can hold up or not. EVC, that's lower. BW, that's still holding up right now. This looks like it could get going here with a little bit more volume.
BW, huh?
Yeah, and we would want to see this get lifted over a lift over 5. And here we go. Now we just move up to 5. So it looks like this is getting a little bit of attention now. And if we can get some more volume, we'll get over 5. The next resistance I would see after that would be about 515, and then the pre-market high of 545 on our way up to test that 555 area from the after hours yesterday.
Okay, we'll see if we end up getting it there. Kind of bouncing around here, but I agree with you. It does look like it wants to try and push above 5. Yeah. 550 would be the next target. Did you have another target other than 550? 520 maybe?
No, the 545 high in the pre-market, and then 555.
Okay.
Those two after the 515.
All right, we'll see if we get that there. Babcock and Wilcox. And actually some pretty nice volume, I think, out of the open here. We'll see how it trades. Let's see what else we have. Yep.
Getting mentions from Smoke Tuna, CCTG, and Jay Rice is mentioning FTRE.
CCTG, let's go to that.
Oh, apparently I have joined the stream.
Oh, that's just, you were the last to join the stream, so the next person that joined had the same name.
And what a privilege it was to follow Emery instead of leader.
Great call on BW13. Look at this. Here we go, right through. I got the next spot here, maybe 518, but we did bust right through that 5. Really good stuff on that call. 515 up.
There it is, right at that
and through and bang.
Now let's see 545.
Okay, really good stuff there. We'll trim some and see if we get 545. Stop down there at 5. Can't lose on the trade. 13. Thank you.
You're welcome.
1 for 1 here today. 13 getting it done. Netflix, big pull. Oh, 13. Maybe we're going to get your spot here on Netflix.
Fantastic.
Well, remind me again what it is. I keep forgetting the number. 1040?
No, 1060 to 1080.
1060 to 1080.
Wouldn't be surprised if it went down to 1,000.
Okay. Well, hey, look, we got that first target already, right? 1060 to 1080. We're right at the top end of that range. There you go on Netflix. Still no position on this. I'd love for this to keep coming back in too. That'd be great. Let's see what happens with the split.
Apps, that big drop that we had out of the gate, it was getting bought back up. It did manage to get back over the 65 EMA for the moment. Still trying to hold above that now. Also still trying to recapture the VWAP, but just thought it was worth mentioning that bounce there. Maybe we do get a little bit more of a lift here with the APPS. And BW is pulling back beneath its VWAP. DOCN, this looks like it's kind of rolling over now. We'll see if it can recapture the VWAP, but if it can't, then I think it may go on to lose the 65 EMA in the minutes afterwards. MLTX, this thing just continuing lower, now down to, I probably should have read a little bit more into what that news was, because it still seems like nobody really likes this stock, even after that big drop in September.
Palantir yanking out of the gate. This actually was trading up off of the pre-market lows. Now we just immediately sliced through that here, Palantir. That puts PLTZ back in play here, 650 now. I'm going to be looking to trim a little bit more of this if we can get another push higher here. Here's the big thing. Lesson learned from when I was trading RGTZ. I sold out of all of it too soon. I'm still happy with my sells because I was able to make some money off of it. We talked about that moving around here quite a bit, but I didn't leave the trailer on, and I'm trying to not make the same mistake here in PLTZ. So I'm looking to sell a little bit more as this continues to push higher here, but I'm probably going to leave a little bit on just to force myself to look at it in case we get an extended move down in Palantir.
Yeah, so that move down seems to be on a loss of that 20-day SMA. It is getting some support from both a trend line and the 183 level. We'll see if it can lift itself back over the 20-day SMA, but depending on how this closes, could give us an indication of whether or not we're going to see some more downside tomorrow. If we do start closing underneath the 20-day SMA, I think we're going to want to have our sights set up around 177 where the 50-day SMA is.
Okay.
All right, apps. Looks like this is trying to turn around here, right? It's recapturing VWAP or attempting to. Do need to see more volume in this though. EVC. Oh, that was the low volume one.
Wiss mentioning BQ. How we doing on BQ here? That was a big mover. Big mover the other day. Let's see what we got here on BQ. Oh, look at that. Stopped right at 4 again.
Yes, the pre-market would indicate that that's a bit of a resistance area.
Yeah. Yes, it would. Yes, it would, as a matter of fact.
But if we continue with volume expansion, we may end up pushing through it. So that's going to be one. It's going to be a 410 breakout. It seems like above 4 is where the price action has run up to. It's 4 is a little bit lower, but it was what the after hours resistance area was. We pushed through it a little bit higher in the pre-market. So let's see if we can get that volume that takes us over 410.
SLDP getting mentioned by Billy here. Solid Power shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q3 EPS results. So here we go. This up at 650 or thereabouts. No position on this one, but this plus 15%.
BW.
I was going to say, I just saw that on the scanner. How's that doing?
Might not be finished. If this move up continues, we're going to want to see that test of 545, maybe even see a move over that and try and take out that 555 high from the after hours.
Okay. It was a really good mention there on BW earlier.
It was getting some pretty good support from the 65 EMA. I think I was a little bit lucky in the timing, though. All right, so here we go. We're pushing up. We're trying to get after that 545 area. We need some more volume in this thing, though.
550, that breakout spot.
Mm-hmm.
Several of you mentioning LNAI. Let me take a look at that. Put that on screen here. Boop. Nice rip here, LNAI. I didn't take this one, but you know what? Registering for you folks that are on this one. Nice move higher here.
This is one of the ones we were talking about this morning, yeah. All right, this is one of them. So 65-day EMA, that's at about 170. Looks like that could be a resistance area if this volume continues. All right, looks like BW is having a tough time with 536, 535 area. SMX kind of sideways out of the open here. Need to see some better volume in order for this to start moving up. Apps pulling back.
Peter, what do you think of Amazon? I like it. The trading action from that OpenAI news not great, and the seasonality not great into the end of the year here. I like it, but I don't know that this is necessarily a buy spot. How about you? What are you thinking on Amazon? I'd like to see this maybe come in a little bit more, to be honest. 240?
Don't want to see it gap filled, though, do you?
Nope.
You know, I still, yeah, maybe 240. I still kind of like the area where it when it popped and when it gapped up and it sold off. It found some support around 244. I still like that area. Maybe a little bit underneath that, maybe around 243. So in between 243, 244, I'd like to see that area hold up because we did have a high print back in February of about 243 and 25 cents. So would like to see that support kick in. All right, so I think BW here with the new candle, we are now moving over VWAP. If we can just get a little bit more volume expansion, we might be able to get over this 540 area.
And then for whoever wanted that, Michelle, wherever you are, here's the link to that uninterruptible power supply. Sorry, it took me so long. You also send that to Anne-Marie Band. Okie dokie.
Way to go, Crow. LNAI.
Yeah, that was a nice move there. 105 to 150. Way to go, Crow. Way to go.
Get a little pullback with LNAI. I think that if people are going to still want to trade this, you'd want to see this the VWAP provide support if it moves down that far.
Crow, I love selling into the move higher. That's what we preach all the time here. Well done on that.
DOCN, something that it just did that I think we want to pay attention to because it did it in the pre-market. We had a big flush out of the open here, and then that was bought up after it tested the 65 EMA.
Yep.
We got a big flush in the pre-market that was also bought up, and it went on to go higher.
Yep.
Could completely be the same thing here. Just need to see some better volume, but that could also happen. Take us up to the trend line, maybe.
VIX, by the way, flirting with 19 here. Bitcoin at the high. Bitcoin
BW.
bounced. Ethereum following it. BW, let me go back to it.
BW needs to we need to get through this here. Otherwise, we're going to have a series of upper shadows that could indicate a reversal. So need to get above 535 in this current candle.
Goldman Sachs giving up what it traded on yesterday, it looks like, straight down out of the gate. Tesla also pulling here out of the gate. Tesla actually looks like it's going to try and hold the pre-market lows here. It's right there. Boy, it is right there. Tesla 446. Anyone trading Tesla here today in either direction? Just out of curiosity. Just wondering.
And looks like Apple also down today too.
Yeah, Apple so far holding 267. PayPal is actually trading up today. I'm going to pinch myself to make sure I'm awake.
Well, it's probably because it's been getting.
I mean, it's more facetious than anything else, to be honest.
I mean, this is at the bottom of that sideways channel. We might see not just today, but a couple more days of trying to recapture the 50-day SMA. But if that fails, I think we're going to lose 65.
Okay. Crow says sell CELH earnings tomorrow. Crow, your call on the trade up on CELH was great. In my opinion, a big bear coming, a big bear candle. Did you mean to type big beat on the EPS? Help me out. Clear that up for me. What are you thinking happens here? A pullback on the earnings or a big beat followed by the potential move higher?
Oh no, he means big bear.
Yeah,
he's big bear.
But see, this is why I questioned it. He typed big bear initially, and then he typed big bear asterisks. So he didn't change anything. I'm thinking maybe it's a typo. Just want to be sure.
He's saying Boyle. He thinks a move is coming. You know, it's interesting. This has kind of been putting in a bit of a base and broadening a little bit since August. So maybe. It really does look like it's setting up to go higher. We just got a recapture of the 20 and 50-day SMAs last week. Looks like there's a resistance at about 35. Maybe. Yeah, could see a move in natural gas. All right, BW, this has got to be the move here. Got to get us over 535 right here. We need to see that volume push us through. Are we going down?
App breaking lower. That's app loving.
Oh,
There's BW. BW is going for it.
yeah, it just took out that 535, 545's next. And then the pre-market high the after hours high from yesterday at 550.
Okay.
Just more volume. Volume. We got the setup. We just need the volume.
Yeah, exactly. And this has already been good, at least on the first impulse move there. We'll see if we get the trailer piece on a 550 break there. Big B's mentioning app breaking lower here. Remember, app reporting earnings tonight. So a little bit of weakness here this morning ahead of those earnings. It's also worth noting 584.61 was the low print of the after hour yesterday. We'll see if we end up snapping that to the downside here. Thank you, producer. I can always go to the graphic if we need, but producer doing some earnings after the close here today. What are we thinking out of that Ionic earnings release?
Sorry, I'm just waiting to see if we're going to get this move in BW. It's pushing through these levels. We're almost at 555.
There it is.
We'll have our move. We're almost there. Oh, almost there. So close. We're on the doorstep knocking. Little pig, let me in.
There is some size there. Man, I'll tell you what, this update to Thinkorswim for the level 2 is awesome. This is awesome. See if we get that pop above there. I have the upper band of the VWAP standard deviations at 564. That might be another resistance area.
Deep Dive is saying that Micron's moving.
Dive deep?
Did I say? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's hilarious because I've done that a number of times and I've had to like double take and make sure that I got the name correct.
He knows I'm talking about him.
He knows.
MU. So let's take a look here.
He knows. Raising my stop here on BW, by the way, on the trailer piece.
Nice move here with MU. Continues to climb higher. I mean, we did put in an all-time high on Monday, and we're not too far away from it, but we are going sideways. So let's just let that happen some more and not get too overextended, because we are at a 66 RSI, and getting over 240 would certainly lift that up probably over 70. I think we'd want to have the RSI cool off a little bit and kind of have the same price action it's been doing, continue, where it pops up, goes sideways for a little bit, pops up, goes sideways for a little bit. It's been doing the same thing for pretty much since September. So let's have that continue. That would be great. PPBT is moving, and HD Darkside Hemi is asking if we have any thoughts on NFE. What is NFE?
You want to do PPBT first?
Sure, go ahead.
Well, I'm just asking. This is Purple Biotech here. This is the penny stock. Did I get the right stock there? PPBT. This is moving here. It's above yesterday's intraday high. Let's back out. Let's look to the left a little bit more and see where we're at. Basically, we're in this consolidation area. I would think that you probably need a break above 1 here. That would be the next spot up, I would think. 1.
I don't see any news for PPBT today, but it had some pretty interesting news last week. I just don't know what's causing this move today. BW is actually pulling after hitting the. Did we just actually break? Nope, hit 555 exactly. So now with this, we'll go back to the other one we were looking at in just a second, NFE. What we want to see next with BW is if this is going to be a rejection of that 555 area, then that could potentially set up a cup with handle formation. So that's what I would like to see next. So we're going to get a little bit of a pull here. We might even go back underneath VWAP. But if we can still hold above, I would say, 490, maybe 45 to $5. If we can hold that area and turn around, then the next visit up to 555 could be a breakout.
Okay.
Now let's
Okie dokie. I have my stop set at 520 here, so I'm not going to let that go back to VWAP on the trailer. Just going to book it. But if it does, maybe it'll set up for another trade. That won't necessarily be done for today.
Now, NFE, remind me if this is when we traded earlier this week. I think it might have been, or maybe last week. But this one looks like this is starting to get some movement here, a little bit more volume after getting some real choppy volume in the pre-market. This is in the oil and gas industry. it does have a pretty high short interest. I think that's one of the reasons why you're seeing this lift right now on no news, because of the high short interest on a float of 203. Currently running into some resistance at 106. If it manages to get through that, let me see if I can give you a better level up above that. I would say that two things here. It's going to have to get above the 20-day SMA, which is at 168. And if it still manages to do that, it's got a big resistance area at about 2 or just slightly under 2 at where the 50-day SMA is. That's also a previous support area that has now become resistance. So those would be the next two areas to the upside for NFE if it manages to get through the 20-day SMA.
Crow mentioning SMX here as it looks like it's trying to test its VWAP, maybe go through.
Thank you, producer, for posting that. First part of Supreme Court considers legality of Trump tariffs starts at 10 a.m., so in 10 minutes. Bull is going. Bull is going. Let's see what it is going to. Thing about Bull is that we are almost down to that all-time low print from when this first
just got stopped out of my trailer on BW. Sorry, 13.
No problem. That low was 954, and we actually hit 955 yesterday. So maybe that is putting in a bit of a double bottom. We'll have to wait and see with today's price action. But that low print yesterday with the RSI being under 30, that does make it a little bit of attractive. So we'll see if this can get any legs here. Let's see if it can recapture 10. I think that's going to be one of the first important steps it's going to have to take.
Looks like it tried to do that in the pre-market. Couldn't quite do it yet. Kevin here saying, do you know why Katos is down so much? It reported earnings yesterday in the after hours.
Let's look at the run that this thing has had. And we saw this with Palantir too. Where
are you referencing Katos, just to be clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it went on a massive run into their earnings. And now there's profit taking, selling off, similar to what that's happening with Palantir. That also ran into earnings. And interestingly, that's got a pattern. If the Palantir runs into earnings, it will gap down. Whereas if it goes sideways into earnings, it will gap up. And that's just been the way it's been for the past 5 earnings reports.
Katos here issued Q4 sales guidance below estimates. That's been one of the big catalysts that have moved stocks down. The company also agreed to acquire Orbit Technologies, which I'm not familiar with.
BW did trade beneath the VWAP, but it's still trying to hold above it. It's not it's not having the greatest looking volume. So not saying that it's turning around here, but I'm still gonna keep an eye on this to see if that cup with handle plan works out.
And that was still a really good identification and trade right off the open there. That was a really good move. Katos, by the way, I know we were just talking about that. That's holding yesterday's intraday low so far. If it gives that up, that's right down there at what, 76? If it gives that up, maybe 75.5, lower it probably goes.
Well, Crow, I think you may have got out of LNAI at the right time. After hitting 153, this thing has just gone through a series of selling candles, and it is almost back down to the starting point. CIFR, new blue sky, says Jonathan Cooper.
We were talking about that one yesterday, weren't we?
Yeah, CW Parker's talking about it. Corey Heath is talking about it.
So this actually, this did take out the intraday high from yesterday. We're right at the intraday high from from Monday. I'm getting my days mixed up now. And we're above.
Yeah.
CIFR above 25 now. Not a bad move either.
Probably squeezing. And looks like they had the news yesterday of expansion into Texas data center. I'll have to look and see where that is, because I already know where some of these guys are setting up their operations at, like Riot and BitDeer. I'll have to figure out where Cypher's setting up at if they're in Texas. So want to go on a road trip?
Yeah, I definitely want to see some of these areas. Really, I definitely want to make it down and visit you in Texas too. Yep, I'd love to. Bull calls, by the way, those 10 calls. Not a lot of not repeat sweeps, but there's some trading action there. Not huge either. I don't know how notable that is.
SMX, this hasn't really done a whole lot this morning, but it is above the VWAP, and it is still trying to move up. There could be a bigger move coming with this one. Remember, the float in this one is very, very small, so it could be just like one of those out of nowhere moves. That's SMX. We'll see what ends up happening here with this one.
Gotta give above VWAP.
Apps has recovered. We are almost at the spot where we were just before the open. But this had a big sell out of the open after hitting that trend line that we drew. Went down beneath the 65 EMA, managed to recapture it 10 minutes later. Now we're above VWAP and the other EMAs. Let's try and test this trend line again, maybe even break through it. Large seller in the way at $8.
Okay. Katos, that might be rolling over and testing that low. Tesla's still holding its pre-market low. And Netflix holding the top end of that range there, 13. Bitcoin, it looks like that bounce at least has slowed down for right now. See if we get some more on that.
Okay. Yeah, you are getting a little bit of a bounce around that that area where it's like the top end of the range that Tom and I were looking at. Still would like to see this go lower, though. And that's really nice that we got the price action I was anticipating with the test of the 200-day SMA and then a rejection. That was great. I like that. Mara is your mover today. I think a lot of the crypto names are having a good morning after a rebound from the 100,000 area breach that we had yesterday. Yeah, look at that go.
Yep.
Because look at the price action yesterday. Bitcoin just sank all day yesterday.
Yep. Man. I actually bought some more ETHA calls, the 31s for December. Those are working. Well, we want to see a bigger move in Bitcoin before we sell that. I don't have a whole lot of gains in that yet. Apple bouncing here nicely. Where's Tenzin at? Tenzin's been all over the Apple moves back and forth recently.
DOCN, after the sell out of the open and recapture, remember like the same thing that I was pointing out in the pre-market, still trying to go higher. Doesn't seem to have the volume it did in the pre-market or maybe that wasn't so much the volume, but the illiquid price action. But it's still trying to come back up towards this 46.80 high in the pre-market. It hasn't given that up yet, but I'd be concerned about what ends up happening with this current candle. If the next candle starts to go red on us, we may end up testing the VWAP again.
Okay. SoFi just broke above 30. Still at the top end of the range of those analyst predictions. I think 33 was the top one. Thereabouts. We're pretty much right there. Palantir on the relative volume scanner. Let's see what Palantir is doing. That actually looked like that's going to try and break lower here. Giddy up. BW at 505. Okay, sometimes your first stop is your best stop.
Well, it's coming down towards the area where I'd like to see it reverse. So remember, it was like just beneath, it was like 490 to 5. We're down there right now. So I'd like to see this reverse pretty soon. It still could go a little bit lower, like the 490, like I said, but this is about the area.
SMX right at its VWAP. It's actually 1 cent above it, at least on my broker's VWAP here, basically right at that level on SMX. And there it goes. There's a nice little pop there.
Fantastic.
Bro, getting it done here.
240 has some size. They just put in a seller on the way at 232. Let's see if he can get chewed up. But so you got some sellers on the way up to 240 with SMX. App's still trying to climb higher. BW trying to recover. MLTX, after that nasty drop out of the gate that took it down to 10, it's recovering. Has recaptured VWAP and the 200 EMA right now, but it's running into the 65 EMA resistance. You guys see Alex Karp on CNBC yesterday? I think a lot of people did because he was, admonishing the short sellers,
which he loves to do. Not his first time, certainly won't be his last either.
App's still climbing. Hasn't gotten through the $8 seller yet, though. Pull in SMX. Pulled back. BW, it's reversing off the area I was looking at. Looks like we went slightly lower than what I was aiming for. 485 is the low. I was looking for 490, but we got a turnaround here, and it is on the verge of trying to recapture VWAP. Could use some better volume though.
Look at Rivian. Nice move on Rivian here.
Oh yeah. That was, I think, wasn't somebody bearish on this, on their earnings? That's what it is. It had earnings, right?
Yeah, it had earnings pop. Now it's going higher here today. You know, you might be right on that, but I can't recall who that is.
I thought somebody.
I'm generally bearish on this company, but
I thought it was a guest or somebody in our chat, whether it be here or Happy Hour.
I think it was Happy Hour. It might have been Hakeem from Happy Hour.
Okay.
I think that's what I want to say. I don't feel confident about it. SMX, by the way, pulled back beneath its VWAP. Smoke Tuna, good mention there on that pop being your ability to sell.
Apps is taking the seller at 8. If this can push higher, we're going to set a new session high. We're at 819 is the current high. Unless that's just what it was before the open. 810, next area with some significant size.
Seeing some HUT puts. You guys are talking about Mara selling its Bitcoin. HUT puts coming across the board. Same with Coin.
It's selling a large amount of Bitcoin from its reserves. So let me look at that Treasury website. I was looking at that yesterday. So Mara, one of the largest holders of Bitcoin, had before that announcement, they had 53,250 Bitcoin.
SMX right back to the VWAP, literally at it right now. There is size there. We'll see if this pops up through VWAP again. Still think it makes more sense to add on the lows as opposed to trying to buy the breakout there.
MLTX, this is still trying to recover. It's at the 65 EMA, trying to recapture it. Apps with a little bit of a rejection, but not selling off. Still looks like this could try and push through the trend line that we drew as long as we hold VWAP.
Fubo, another good day. Moving higher here. Black Mamba, the Treasury site is treasury.bitbo.io or bitbo.io/treasuries. I'll throw that link in the chat here for you.
Oh, I was using this one here. I'll post the one I was using.
Throw that in the chat? Okay, great.
BitcoinTreasuries.net.
You used to use bitbo.io, I thought. Well, did you change for a certain reason? I could have sworn. Maybe I'm misremembering it. But there you go. There's two different sources for you. Tesla new lows here, so that broke the pre-market lows. PayPal is still trading higher here, $67. Sorry, 13, get in there.
I think I might have looked at both of these, but I preferred the Bitcoin Treasuries because it just has a much, easier to digest table view of the top 100. Whereas with Bitbo, I'd have to scroll down, and I don't see all 100 at the same time. I think that's the only reason why I've been using BitcoinTreasuries.net.
Gotcha. VIX 1830, Bitcoin rolling over from the highs.
SMX, we're getting another attempt to push through here. Here we go. 245 is the next area with a large seller. There's also some in the way at 240. We just put in a new session high and it got pushed back down. Let's see if this volume continues to expand and we can take out that 245 seller.
Funky Cold Stocks, you get a one-up for misremember. That originated with the Roger Clemens steroid trial. Props on recognizing that. LOL. SMX, that was a nice move here. Not in this one, but this trading up here. Smoke Tuna saying SNDA is maybe setting up for a swing. Senior living, huh? Earnings in 5 days on this. What's the catalyst here, Tuna? Just a chart move? Move up towards that 32 area?
We have more senior citizens added to our population every year.
That's right. We talked about this as a theme too, didn't we? I feel like this was a happy hour discussion several months ago.
There's been I think there's a lot of demand for healthcare workers still.
Yeah, there is.
And with the job losses happening, we might see some, movement of jobs into that sector. I need a lot more research done on this, but I'm just kind of thinking that we could end up seeing something like that. It seems like that's the career path for some folks when they lose their jobs, can't get back into the industry they're looking for. They do. That's one of the paths they choose because it's stable. People are always going to need healthcare.
Palantir more lows. Actually, it looks like it plunged beneath 182 and tried to recapture it. I wonder if we break 180 on Palantir. That would actually probably put PLTZ in a sell zone for me. Take a look at that real quick. Indeed.
PLTZ has not been as great as RGTZ. It just hasn't. It's been okay. It's been pretty good.
You're right.
I did close my PLTZ position yesterday. Maybe that was a mistake, but I wasn't, it wasn't too far away from where it is now. RGTZ, that's been great. I don't have that one either, but
yeah,
I'm looking to add some more if we get that some more movement up to the upside. I don't know that we will.
Yeah, I was going to say that was the better of the trade. It definitely sold it a little too early, but if we get another opportunity on that, probably hit that one.
Trump cutting Medicare to senior care homes. Is that already law right now? Let me know. SMX not breaking down, still holding up despite moving off of the high that it just put in. Now it's starting to go a little bit lower, but if it can get some support around 225, might still have a shot at turning around and pushing higher. Where are we at with this trend line right now? I don't think this really makes a difference. Not really. All right, apps still could go. Keeps climbing higher. We're still at the 8 area, looking to push over the trend line.
I'm gonna refresh Pro here real quick.
All right. Earnings play SOLS says Mashmalama. Now, I'm not saying PLTZ hasn't been a bad trade. It's been great, and I'm glad that, especially you, Mama Bear, I'm glad that it's worked out for you.
Yeah,
I just think that RGTZ, and I think when it comes to Rigetti, this valuation doesn't make sense at all. Palantir, maybe right now it's pretty extended and it's got a goofy valuation, but when it comes to the two, when I'm looking at the two and I'm like, okay, well, this one is actually getting money from the government. It's very popular. It's a battleground stock versus Rigetti, which we've talked about how their headquarters looks like a garage, but they also have other facilities that they're using. So they do have some revenue, but it's nowhere near the amount that it's needed to justify its valuation. I think the valuation for Rigetti is way overblown compared to Palantir.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. I think that was just the easier one. Nice job there, Captain Cloudy, on that SPY call move.
Fantastic.
Jay, my IONZ swing up 100% plus. Let's go, Jay. Give a register ring for that one. That's going to be the 2X IONQ ETF, ticker IONZ.
Google leading the way. Yeah, it's leading the way.
Just had it on.
Right back up towards 300. Now, this thing is still pretty extended. We have a 73 RSI. Momentum is pretty good, but I feel like it's starting to trend a little bit sideways. We could get some pullback here. If that happens, I don't want to see it go beneath too far beneath the 20-day SMA. It's been riding it all the way up since May, and that hasn't stopped yet. So if we do come back in, going to want to see that support around the 20-day SMA. Before year end, we'll see 300. Sounds good to me.
Unity giving back most of its gains here. Already given back about 75% of that. And SRPT finally green here. This is actually 2 green days in a row.
Thoughts on CHR?
That's a 20-cent penny stock.
Oh, this one was the big mover this morning that was under $1. Okay. Okay, so it received a proposal to get bought out. I don't know what else to add to that. What was the buyout offer? I guess that would be kind of your ceiling. Don't know what the buyout offer was. What's looking good here? Looks like we've still got a little bit more of a pull in SMX. Same thing with apps. Same thing with DOCN. As a matter of fact, DOCN lost the VWAP, but it still hasn't lost the 65 EMA. So as long as we hold above that, there's still hope.
Nice job on that FRTE, Jay. That was a good mention here.
What is the expectation for IREN earnings tomorrow, I guess?
Well, it depends who you ask. You ask Jim Chanos, it's not good. Not good.
Well,
IREN's been on a tear, though.
Yeah, and that would be concerning to me because, as we were pointing out earlier, these names that have been on, that rise into their earnings,
they've been the ones that have really gotten pounded.
Right.
SLDP new highs. This is another good mention from this morning.
Let me look at this valuation here. So this is valued at over 18 billion, and it pulls in 187 million a quarter. I might have a concern about the valuation.
Treasury yields up across the board.
You might
1.14 on the 10 and 3.62 on the 2. Sorry, 13.
I wonder if, when it comes to IREN, if we get some kind of a situation where the earnings print pulls the stock down, but as the conference call goes on, it starts to turn around. I just wonder because of the Microsoft angle, right? That's just something I wonder. Not saying it's going to happen, but I just wonder. Merck also great discount. That'll be better later. MTVA on a setup.
ASST might be trying to go through 140. This is actually a pretty decent volume here today. And it looks like a volume pop going on right now.
So when is Obesity Week? November 4th through 7th. So it's now. And that's what MTVA is going to be presenting at in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, I don't know when they're supposed to. I'd have to go and look at the schedule for that in order to know when they're going to present that. Maybe they've already done it. I mean, that's the reason why we got the. I mean, it could just be the spike that we got today was on that news that they're going to present. But if the actual presentation will the actual presentation provide a trade as well? I don't know. I think that if you're interested in this, find out when that presentation happens.
ASST coming up on 140 here. Volume actually still looking pretty good too.
Brandon, ever since the GLP-1s came onto the scene, I think it has become a thing.
Yeah, there was. I actually on Monday, Obesity Week was listed in the company events here. It might not be anymore. Let's see. No, but it was on Monday. I think NVO was mentioned for that. Let me go see if I can find that. I tweeted it out on the Pro X account.
So, HIMS also reported earnings earlier this week. They're up today, probably because we got the start of, because they're in that, obesity health sector. Could be that a lot of these names that provide weight loss drugs might be getting a good move today. I mean, HIMS is up 7%. What's Weight Watchers at? 1.87%? Not great. Who else is there? Who are the other?
Yeah, sorry, really quickly here, confirm this is in fact Obesity Week. Started November 4th, looked like
Yep,
that
yesterday.
event.
Okay.
Okay.
Lilly, that's right. Eli Lilly, right? They're another one.
Lilly's been another one that's been on a tear recently. That was up again here this morning.
Yep. Yep. So it could be that we're seeing a little bit of an uplift in these semaglutide GLP-1 names as a result of Obesity Week. I'm not sure if that's the case exactly, but it might be. Yep. Thank you, Kim. LLY is up also. You were right. ASST had the price action repeatedly of late creep up to the 140 zone, crawl back to 132 to 133, needs to get above 101.5.
Which one?
This is ASST that Joseph Schmo is mentioning.
Yeah, that was right up there at that 140 spot there. It actually just backed off that a little bit.
Let's look at the chart here. Imminent death cross. That's happening this week. Yeah, I think I agree with you on that 150 spot there. That's kind of where. So we already filled the gap with that from October 10th. So we already filled that. That's old news. The thing that needs to happen next is we need to get this price needs to get over the 500-day SMA. And with the an imminent death cross, I'm a little concerned that if we do get that upside, we're just going to see another rejection. We'll see what we end up getting here, but there's some bearish indication happening here with Strive.
Lemonade here, this on a nice move higher here after earnings, up almost 22%. This actually did a gap and go.
Ryan, you need your own week.
Yeah.
Pfizer not moving. Viking Therapeutics for more GLP. There you go. Viking. How's Viking today? What's the ticker? It's VK.
VKTX.
VKTX. Okay. That's up 1.36 after being down yesterday. So getting some support from the 20-day SMA. Hopefully it'll turn around and go back up higher. Apps, new session high, 824. We finally got through that seller at 8. Still dealing with the trend line that we drew, but 824 it popped up to. So that was pretty good. Now, if only we could get some more action like that out of these other names. SMX trying to hold above its VWAP. BW, this is holding above its VWAP. This could get a little bit of a lift again. So we did go down to that area where I wanted to see for support for that cup with handle. Now we're back almost up to the the 530 to 45 area where we were topping out at. If we can get just a little bit more volume, I know that might be a big ask so close to 1030, but if we can just get a little bit more volume, that takes us above the 545. Well, we should have a breakout here. It's got a pretty good looking setup.
See if any of these ASST still backed off that 140 spot. Chipotle, maybe it takes out 32 here. Did anyone end up buying Chipotle for a long-term swing? Maybe this has actually bottomed. I think you're probably all right to trade this against 31. Kendall says, I think CMG is ready now.
I don't know. I mean, she might be right. I just don't know. I think there's still some more. I need some more.
Good SLDP. Wow, continuing to make new highs here.
That's solid.
Lion, you bought CMG. Did you do calls or stock on that? I think I remember you talking about that, but I can't remember what you ended up doing on that. If you did options, where is your expiry at? Strike an expiry. Just out of curiosity.
I mean, the CMG has just been absolutely hammered. It does look really interesting and attractive down here at this level. Just want to see some better volume, and I need to see some levels recaptured, particularly 3250.
And given the year it had, maybe it has a better year next year. And Kendall's a guy, by the way, 13.
I'm sorry. Didn't mean to insult you there.
You bought the stock. That's probably smart. That's the way I would do Chipotle too, because I don't know if and when it's going to turn around. I'd rather just sit on the stock.
Apps still pushing a little bit higher. I'm glad that we're holding above $8. Don't want to lose this level at this moment, but we do want to see this this trend line get closed over. We are about 30 seconds away from that happening. BW did pull back a little bit. So did SMX. Apps looking like the strong one at the moment. MLTX, that also is pulling back right now after getting as high as 10, looks like 1059, 1058, sorry.
Jay mentioning regarding Chipotle to take a look at Kava, says Kava was down big in the pre-market. They think the CEO was on CNBC. Kava was down big in the pre-market on crappy earnings and it went green here. So what's the takeaway for Chipotle? Basically, are you thinking that the bottom might be in on Chipotle? And you're right about Chipotle going nowhere, that's for sure. Not going away. SPY here holding 676. Breath is actually green here today.
Not bad. Let's see if we are going to get some kind of a turnaround, but we are in already at that time where the hearings in the Supreme Court are underway.
10 a.m., right? I think that starts. That started 20 minutes ago.
Yep. So maybe we'll see some headlines that come out of that at some point.
That's on C-SPAN, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's televised. Palantir setting another lower high intraday. This to me still looks like we want to test a lower level here. That's ticker PLTR. Alexa, by the way, Alex Karp hasn't come for me yet. I hope to be done with this trade pretty soon so I can breathe easy. Breathe easy on that. He hasn't come for me yet.
Yeah, RGTZ just continuing here. And this is, we got a low of 1440 in the pre-market and we're up to 1625. Like I said, just better price action here. Let me see where we're at with RGGI. Funny that
Why wouldn't I be allowed to watch C-SPAN? I enjoyed watching Trump's nominees just absolutely tear apart those ridiculously stupid senators. That was great. C-SPAN has actually turned into a watchable channel recently. Atlas, I see 30 as the hard floor for Chipotle. Trading that against 30 makes sense to me as well. And you're pretty much right there at what, 30, 31, 32 and change. That's not even that bad.
A little bit of a downtrend line that we have here with Brigetti on the daily chart ever since we had that rejection from the 20-day SMA on Monday.
That's been the entry for RGTZ.
Oh yeah, it has the 20-day SMA. Every time the price goes since the Wednesday the 22nd, since the price rebounds and tries to get back above the 20-day SMA, that has been the load zone, and it has worked every single time so far. It's been great. But right now, it looks like Brigetti RGTI is potentially going to come down and test that $34 level. Maybe sometime today. It's just looking like we're gonna lose that support area.
This chart, I know we kind of compared this earlier. Maybe it's not a great comparison, but this chart also series of lower highs here, very reminiscent of the Palantir chart, just kind of hunting for lower. Michael, agreed, Ryan. I've been watching C-SPAN more lately. I knew I wasn't the only one. That's hilarious. That is hilarious.
Yep, BW down and SMX both down. Apps also getting a pull here. Everything getting a pull. All the movers anyway. Lots of pulling. Which should be good for PLTZ and RGTZ if everything continues to pull. ASST is threatening
PayPal at the highs
to go above 140 again.
Yeah, it needs to actually do it though. It can do all the threats at once. Can it actually move above it? It did peak above it, but came right back in a little bit.
App's trying to recapture 8. It's right there. Not seeing a whole lot of movers that are looking good. LNAI getting some support from the 65 and 200 EMAs on the 5-minute after that big drop that it had after reaching 153. Is this looking interesting to you, Crow? I think, Crow, you were the one trading this. The CMG a good swing trade at this price? Run a tantrum. There's some folks here that think that like this price right here. I think that they're more interested for the long term. I don't know if they're looking to do a swing trade on this.
Yeah, no, it would be more long term than anything else. Even Lion saying the same thing there.
Yep. All right. Well, I don't see too many interesting plays at the moment. Maybe there's something setting up here with RGTI. Let's
check on here are the stocks that are reporting after hours here today. Robinhood basically flat. I guess it's up 1%. Qualcomm, haven't looked at that. Qualcomm, we looked at AppLovin a lot, and then ARM. Qualcomm, ARM, and Dash would be the ones that let me just take a quick look at those real fast.
Qualcomm. Yeah, Qualcomm would be interesting. So with regard to Archer, since that's getting brought up, there's a little bit of a concerning matter of the price action right now. We are losing the 200-day SMA again. We closed beneath it yesterday. We're underneath it right now. If there's a trend line that I've drawn here that if we lose this trend line, I think that's just going to be more bearish.
Which one are you on, 13? Sorry, I was running through some more stuff there.
Archer,
ACHR, got it.
Yeah, and it's the price action since this year started has been kind of trading into a bit of a broadening wedge. I don't know how long it's going to continue to go on like that, but it seems like this, if we do start, have another close like today and tomorrow underneath the 200-day SMA, we could lose this trend line, and that would take us down to probably going down to 8 at least. So I remember Archer. I've liked this company for a while. I don't own it anymore, but remember this company is still burning through cash. They might have some really good catalysts coming next year when they ferry Olympians to and from their events, as it's supposed to happen. And we're supposed to also see some more rollout of these EV tolls next year. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. But
and then don't forget, we also had the little hints dropped by Musk on the recent Rogan podcast about the Tesla Roadster being the craziest product launch ever. Kind of teased around it. Maybe it's a car. Maybe it's not a car.
Is it a flying roadster?
He kind of hinted at that. He wouldn't really say. He wouldn't really say, but it's kind of floating around out there. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out.
Yeah, do the wheels come out and turn up and they have blades on
them? Become turbines? That would actually be so sick, dude.
Yeah.
That would remind me of Transformers.
Oh, dude, Tesla would be $500 stock plus.
$5?
Plus.
Yeah, it'd be a lot higher than that.
Just all that news plus, yeah. Joby Aviation is scheduled to report its third quarter earnings today after the market closed. So there you go on I think what is probably the biggest rival to Archer right now.
No question.
Okay, so these movers not looking like they're having a good time. Looks like SMX is at risk of losing the 65 EMA.
Pete, you should know better than that. There's no way Elon Musk would make a communist car. Come on. He fights against that. No chance. Elon Musk must have the Jetsons on constant play in the Tesla HQ. That actually tracks a little bit too.
My understanding is they're going to make a live action Jetsons.
That'd be pretty entertaining.
I'm trying to think of who I saw they were typing the actor for. I want to say it was Jim Carrey, but I don't know if that's correct. For George. Yes, Jim Carrey is in talks to star.
Jay, Kava holding on to green right here. Do you think Kava has more of a move up if it doesn't break down? I'm still kind of bearish on this.
A Tesla
what do we got here? 59.
NB. As interesting as that might be, I don't think that's where their focus is. If it's not on the ground, it's in the air. I haven't seen too much out of them with marine activity. Maybe, but I don't know. I'm thinking that's not the case. TLN report tonight. Talon Energy Group. This one also been on a bit of a run, but has since come down since October started. HD testing higher low zone trend line. I haven't looked at Home Depot in a time. This thing is, that's not looking good. Actually, we're down here at the 500-day SMA, a level we have not been at since July. Losing the 200-day SMA is not great either. But this is an interesting, you do point out an interesting spot here for this. This has been a support and resistance area, this 773 area. If you draw a line there and you look to the left, you can see how this has.
Sorry, which chart? I was doing something else. 13.
HD.
HD.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's kind of at an interesting support area. There was a support area earlier up around the 200-day SMA, which was like 381, 381. We lost that. Now we're at the next one with where the 500-day SMA is, and that's looks like 373 to me. If you look to the left, if you draw a line there and look to the left, you can see how that price has been support and resistance throughout this stock's history.
373.
Yeah.
Almost had it there.
So we'll see if this holds up. But if it doesn't, 360 might be the next spot then. Hydrogen cars will eventually replace electric. What's your time horizon on that?
I was going to say, define eventually in that case. I think that's going to be the key.
I don't think they'll replace them, but there's certainly going to be more on the road. I think it might be a question of safety, and I think there's plenty of ways we can make hydrogen storage on vehicles safe if they get into an accident. I understand all of that. I'm a little bit concerned about refueling.
SMX, boy, that gave everything back. Smoke tuna, really good mention to sell into those pops. Those pops are for selling, not for buying. You're seeing that. You're seeing that played out here. SMX.
MLTX still pushing higher. Actually, we printed above the open. So after that selling that took it down to 10, it's just been on a path of recovery. LNAI also.
That's a nice bounce, actually.
Yep.
This is still under. Oh, nope. Just recaptured $1 as we were speaking right there. All right. How's AMD doing?
Diesel electric, maybe that will do it first.
AMD pretty much getting everything back. Basically even.
Where are we at with AMD? Just under 250?
Just under 249, actually. Yep.
Well, you know what? I still like that rebound. Well, we didn't actually touch it, but we opened just above it, the 20-day SMA, and moved away from that. So that's a good sign, because that's also an area where there's support. This area of about 240. That's where we were kind of running up to, and the price is knocking its head on it through the most of October, and then on the 24th, we finally broke through that resistance area of 240. So now I'd be looking at it as support, 240, 241, somewhere in there with the 20-day SMA. I think, I think we would see solid state batteries before we see hydrogen powered cars. Now, if it's fuel cell, that's a little bit different.
To me is the way it's going to go. 13.
Yeah, that's different. That's not the same as an internal hydrogen combustion engine, which they use. But yeah, fuel cell batteries, that seems a more likely approach for hydrogen.
MU is pushing up again.
Mm-hmm.
We should take a look at the rest of those storage stocks too, see where those are at.
There are hydrogen cars. I mean, we have hydrogen forklifts. It's just the drawbacks. I think don't make much sense for it to be like a vehicle that the average consumer buys and uses. I mean, some people can't even properly refuel their car with gasoline. You want them to start using hydrogen now?
Or the people that try to put gas in their electric car.
This is America, folks.
Pay attention to the bumper stickers on those cars, by the way. I'll leave it at that. WDC, all those other storage stocks right back up to the highs. Tell you what, this has been a unbelievably tough short. Still think this is going to eventually pay.
Yeah, some they're doing pretty good. Hydrogen will replace electricity, I think you mean, in the next 100 years. So my computer is going to run off hydrogen? I mean, maybe if it's a fuel cell, I understand that, but that's electricity.
We're gonna feel pretty crappy about all that solar investment if that ends up being the case.
And MBS, I like that one. I've heard that meme a lot. Thanos was right. That's just a hilarious meme. I love it. And so you're liking some of those ETFs. They are pretty good, So, but I've been in these for over a year, so I couldn't tell you if this is a great time to enter. It might be. Let's see here. Apps new high 828. 28 is the high in apps. They need those 200 tickets. What do you?
Palantir stopped again at 186. We'll see.
PLTZ coming in.
It's right at its VWAP. It's hovering right at its VWAP.
I've got mine. Well, it's getting support from the 65 EMA. I have it trading beneath my VWAP, but that whole broker thing.
Hey Alexa, add my entire wish list to my cart. Alexa also says cart may have bigger problems with the New York mayor. It was a red wave in NYC. It had nothing to do with Trump. Yeah. Yep. There are gonna be a lot of problems there. It looks like. We shall see. Tess says it's actually a little bizarre how much from the cartoons and comic characters the world has come to fruition.
Oh, jeez.
Used to only be the Simpsons.
Yeah, now everybody's got a stake.
Now everybody is getting involved in it. Yeah. I
mean, we had Idiocracy, and that's life imitating art.
This was a really good move here today.
Yeah, that was a real big. That had some high short interest, right?
Which one, Rivian?
Yeah.
$15.47. This is actually down. When we first started looking at this, when we were looking at this at the end of last year, it was a little bit closer to 20. It was just above 20. So this has actually come in a little bit.
Oh yeah, South Park does call a lot as well. It's kind of funny how they do that.
Rivian's still at the highs here today.
LMAI still having a nice reversal off the 65 EMA. Volume's pretty terrible now, but that's because we're past 10:30. Folks are getting up and going and having some food, stretching their legs, talking about all the cool stuff they did this morning. EVC, this one that we didn't cover, but I still took a look at it. This is actually coming up to its after hours high of 282. Wasn't a whole lot here on this one, but I just still have it on my list. 30-cent move. Maybe it goes higher than 282.
Okay. All right, we do have an all access coming up here in about 6 minutes. And then we also have story trading here today.
Yeah, Greg, we have a K-shaped recovery happening here. Has been for some time. This is the economy that we're in, K-shaped. Some folks are doing really well. Others are doing horribly.
Yep. Sora Pop, that's not the AI thing, is it? No.
I don't know who that's referring to. Sora Pop, halt down now.
Yeah, I was just wondering if this is at all. It's not.
G.I. Joe's Cobra money. I mean, that's probably.
I don't remember that.
That's probably worth more than some currencies today, just for the sentimental value. SMCI still looking to go lower. I haven't looked at that in a while because I just don't care for the company.
SMCI, I believe this reported earnings yesterday.
Ooh, this is
worse than expected Q1 financial results and Q2 EPS guidance below the estimates.
It's hard when you can't scam, isn't it? All right, so let's see here.
I think 40 is probably your next stop.
I mean, yeah, it's got to hold this 200-day SMA. Ever since it recaptured it back in May, it's been tested. It's tested it twice, two different occasions. One for a week. It was testing this before it finally moved off of it. I don't like the way this looks, and I would think it's going to have to hold this 200-day SMA, or we're going to 40, maybe even lower.
Bitcoin new intraday highs. Ethereum following it. All right, that was a good ad yesterday.
Which companies are at the top of the K-shape? Every Mag 7.
Anything AI.
Yeah.
Big cap AI.
Yeah, this year has been, the year for the AI trade. Everything associated with the AI trade, and and all the sectors related to it. So communications up big, information sector up big, finance up big. Everything that has to do with with the AI trade. Those are the top performing sectors this year. The worst performing sectors have everything to do with humans. So consumer discretionary down, probably the lowest. If not that, it's the staples that are the lowest. And you also have healthcare. That's one of the worst performing sectors, and real estate. So we could see a change in that sentiment next year as the market rotates out of AI and back towards humans. And yes, SMCI absolutely needs a management change. They need.
We were saying that from when they had those accounting issues. We were kind of shocked that they tried to resolve those with some of the same team.
Yes, because if you'd read in some of the history of what SMCI has done in the past, because that wasn't their first little rodeo with non-compliance and accounting, we'll say miscues. They've had something similar happen before, and they got rid of the person that they blamed it on, only to rehire them back later on. I think a year or so later. So it's just real scummy management in my opinion. I agree with Lion on this. The CEO probably is not where it needs to stop. I think there's a lot of upper management that needs to just get out of that, be removed from that company. They just cause too many questionable things.
Yeah,
you don't want that kind of focus on you for that reason. That's a great list, Jay. TSSI. Need the cooks to uncook. Yeah, Let's look at TSSI. So we are 15 minutes. Are we going to move over early, or are we going to be done?
We're definitely not going to move over early. We're still waiting on the guest. And I guess there is a chance here, 13, that we might extend this if the guest does not show. So just be ready for either.
SMX lost 200 EMA on the 5-minute. This is coming down to the trend line that we drew, in my opinion. So that would place it about 175 if this could come down to SMCX. I'm sorry, SMX.
Anyone think Pinterest rolls over and goes lower?
I'll look at Pinterest in just a second. I just popped over to take a look at EVC. That's now putting in high. So even though this was, didn't have a whole lot of movement this morning or a whole lot of upside, still doing pretty good, up 45%. Pinterest down 20%. Man, oh man.
Guidance below estimates. Tom says, Ryan and 13, you guys are great. You don't sugarcoat anything. You tell it like it is. Yeah, you got plenty of other fake channels out there to go for sugarcoating and fake stuff.
No, I really feel like it's important to know, the worst case scenario for everything, so that you're ready. I'm sorry that it's a bitter pill that we provide you every day to swallow.
Yep.
But I think the gains are that much sweeter when they come around.
No doubt.
Pins,
no doubt they are.
Pins, I 23, like 2350 to 24. That's the line in the sand. I think if we lose that level, we could be going down into the teens. It could be that bad. I'm just saying. If I'm looking at a daily chart over the past 2 or 3 years, 2350 to 24 has been a big support and resistance area. Back in 22, it was lots of effort to try and push through that. Finally, in 2023, we moved up and away from that level after getting support in October. That was a big month, by the way, that year. And now we're back down testing this again after hitting it earlier this year in April from the Liberation Day unwind. STX nearing all-time high with little resistance. Seagate has been absolutely on fire. Absolutely on fire. You're right about that, Kim.
And Zach, the one thing that I've learned since starting this is that you're going to be wrong often. Admitting it is actually more profitable because it allows you to get to the right side. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. We're going to keep doing that here. And if you want to hear about people that are always right and have Lamborghinis, this is not the channel for you.
Yeah, I will always try to be the first to say that was my mistake or that was wrong, because.
Yeah.
You ever try to respect anybody that walks things back when they're lying through their teeth? It's not easy to do, is it?
No, it isn't. You really there's like a finite amount of time where you can do that before it just dries up. Take care of yourself, Lion.
Take care, Lion. Have a good one. SoFi. I think I mentioned earlier today that I think would be pretty good if this just kind of went sideways for a little bit. I don't want to see this break down and lose the 20 and the 50-day SMAs. It's been, riding those up since April, since it recaptured those in April. So as long as it can hold above those and maybe go sideways and not lose, like I think the 50-day SMA is the most important one. As long as we don't lose those SMAs, we could still see some higher prints. But I think it would be ideal if this went sideways. Just don't want to see it break down. They already reported too, right? I think they reported early last month. Let me double check.
Eli Lilly, what a trade. What a move in Lilly.
Yeah, they reported last month. Yeah. So that's what I would prefer to see. Now, if we get some news about a weakening consumer, that could impact this. What's the short on SoFi? I don't think that I'm not pointing out any short on this. Are you looking at the short? You're talking about the short interest? That would be almost 8.5% with 1.2 days to cover. So it's actually come back in from what it was earlier. As a matter of fact, if you look at the history, we were up in double digits earlier this year in July, and we've come down under 10. Now we're under 9. Short interest continues to diminish. That's right. TSSI, the competitor to SMCI.
The Ryan Milligan stock, I like to call TSSI.
This one has some pretty good short interest. Some insider selling too.
This short interest not really coming in like the other one.
Let me look at a bigger chart here. So they report in 8 days. A bit of a downtrend. We need to see a recapture of the 20-day SMA. We just lost that today. The 50 is going to have to support the price now. Let's see here. Bear with me. Sorry, I'm just taking a look at this. I mean, so they're building servers, and are they using NVIDIA as well? I mean, I don't know enough about this company. I can really only give you my opinion on the chart, but if you give me a little more context about what this company does to compete with SMCI, that'd be helpful. I'm assuming they build servers, but if they do other stuff, I'd be interested to know. Looks to me like if you don't get the support from the 50-day SMA, 16 looks like a pretty good spot. 16 to 1650, that area there where it was previously resistance earlier this year until June, when we finally broke out of that resistance. That took us all the way up to 32. That's the area I'd be looking at next for support, which is pretty close to the 50-day SMA. So right in that area. If we lose that, you got the 200 next, and then it could just be something worse, like $12 would be the next support after that. They're building servers with Dell. Okay.
CIFR, by the way, this came right back up towards the intraday highs.
Oh gosh, no, we don't need to run that, poll producer. I don't want to buy a Lambo. I don't want to do that. You know, I have a whole thing about depreciating assets.
That's probably not the one to go to then.
Yeah. Although some assets like that do retain their value if they're, a very prominent.
Some of them gain depending on what it is. Like in a 40, a Ferrari F40, well, you can't get one of those less than $5 million.
I don't know if it's the case anymore, but Corvettes used to retain their value pretty well too. I don't know if that's the case anymore though.
There's like special years and special designs for vets that end up doing pretty well, but I think some of I don't know. We'll see how the new ones do. They're sweet cars. They're sweet cars. All right, still waiting on a guest here. That might not happen here today.
It's okay. I'll be here.
Yep, we'll be here, and then we still have story trading, so no worries.
If you had the dough, you'd buy a 71 Plymouth Barracuda like the one in Phantasm. Okay.
I would like at some point to restore just kind of like an older classic car.
Yeah.
I don't know how much driving I would do with it, but I would like to have one of those, especially something that has no computer stuff in it at all, just straight up ICE engine by itself. That'd be pretty sweet.
So no computer controls for like the engine or anything, but basically you load the interior up with stuff like that.
No, I would keep it. But basically the point there is I want to be able to have like a car that runs on a gas engine that can't be shut down or can't be disabled because it relies too much on electronics or something of that nature. Pretty much all cars nowadays do. It's hard to find one.
A Corvette SUV. A Corvette SUV? I don't think I've ever seen that before. A Corvette SUV. Huh. I've seen a Ferrari SUV. I don't know if you're
a Lamborghini SUV.
And a Lamborghini SUV. I didn't know that Corvette had one. That's new to me. Are we talking about cars and not stocks? Because when you when you trade enough stocks, you can end up buying the car you want. It's also a very, very slow time right now, so you're going to kind of get some of this speak when we have nothing to really look at the moment. But if you see something that you see while we're talking, absolutely just let us know. We'll take a look at it and we'll give our thoughts on it.
And Zach, Texas is definitely possible. Texas definitely possible.
Do a Google search. Corvette. Oops. Go over here. Corvette SUV. Let's see. Oh, it's forthcoming. They don't have one yet. Okay.
Bitcoin's still at the highs.
Now, you said you saw one, but it must be. How did you see one if it's still forthcoming? It's supposed to be produced in 2026. Is this a picture you saw? Anyway, we're getting too deep into this.
That's what happens. Between cars and food, you never know what's going to happen, 13. Okay. I think we're ready. Let me check here real quick. I think we're ready. Can I get a thumbs up if we're good to go from somebody?
Must be testing, yeah. I
can't tell if that, I think that's a thumbs up. Yes, that's a double thumbs up. Okay. 13, closing words for the group.
Hey, another fun day with you folks. We'll be back here tomorrow. Yeah, they always are. We'll have another good day tomorrow, and we'll be here with the futures traders. We'll have more stuff to talk about, maybe even cars. And so until then, folks, have a great rest of your day. I'll see you later. Goodbye.
All right, 13, take care. Really good stuff here today. We'll be back at this again tomorrow. I know we're pressed for time, so I'm going to get over real soon. Now it's my pleasure to bring on the current Lions next head coach in training, Dan Leach. Dan, how you doing here today?
Great. Dan Campbell's still the guy, but I mean, I'm ready to.
No, I know, but he's going to be replaced at some point, and you're.
I got the same name. By the way, I did restore an old Volkswagen Bug once. I made that up, but I'll work on a car with you.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you this: it's not going to be a Volkswagen Bug. That is for sure. All right, Dan. I'm going to let you go here with All Access. Take it away.
All right, hey Zingers, and welcome to All Access. I've got a wonderful guest for you today. It is Thomas Maguire, the AVP of Project Management at NASDAQ. He's joining us for an exclusive talk today. All Access starts right now. And it is my distinct pleasure to welcome in Thomas Maguire, the AVP of Product Management at NASDAQ. Great to be with you today, Thomas.
Great to be here.
All right. Well, listen, I know you'll be attending the upcoming Benzinga FinTech event in New York. We're all excited about that. Tom, what made you want to participate this year? What are you most excited about?
Being amongst a group of professionals that really share some of the same ideals about moving capital markets forward and thinking through where we're going to be as an industry in 5 years with the emergence of 24-hour trading, tokenization, AI, all the topics that are on the panels is a really exciting opportunity to engage the network and to really discuss, what the implications are and where people see us all heading. So taken together, it's just really exciting to really think through with like-minded professionals, where we're heading.
No, beautifully said. As I like to say, Thomas, what a time to be alive. There's so many incredible things going on. And if we can rewind even a few years ago, when around-the-clock trading was considered a novel idea, today, obviously, it's a reality, whether it's equities, crypto, or Forex. What do you believe is driving, enabling, and empowering these 24/7 trading environments?
Yeah, well, I think you really started with the key word, which is crypto. It really changed expectations that people have of how their ability to transact in assets that they own. And I think from there, those expectations have spiraled. When you think about the fact that we're living in an always-on kind of environment in all aspects.
Sure.
I said yesterday, I have a 1-year-old, and baby wipes were delivered to my house at 1 a.m. Right. So the expectation that is now, that's now the commercial reality. That's the expectation that consumers across the world really have. It's really kind of taken on a life of its own. So, the overnight trading concepts may have started in retail. And the conversation really was about allowing for access for Asia Pac investors in their awake hours. But what I think you've seen since then is kind of through a confluence of events, you've really seen a more globalized approach to the benefits of 24-hour trading. Brokers here, investors here in America are driving some of the significant volumes that we're seeing in the overnight basis. The ability to react on a continuous basis to news, to events, to insomnia, is really playing into to how we look at the future of trading.
By the way, congratulations on the baby. Maybe next time they'll be delivered by drone at 1 a.m. So we're just going to keep pushing it forward.
One at a time. Yeah.
Thomas, we know with opportunity also obviously comes risk. What challenges traditional workflows, infrastructure, liquidity does around-the-clock trading pose in your estimation?
Yeah, so there's really a couple major areas. One, you start thinking about infrastructure. The trading infrastructure, the capital markets infrastructure has always baked into itself an expectation that the markets operated 9:30 to 4. When you look around the world, some markets are actually still shorter hours than that. As we think towards the future and we think, what is it going to take for me to modify my processes, my staffing expectations, my technical stack to operate on a near continuous basis? Those are some daunting challenges that we're all going to have to think about and work through as an industry. Secondly, you have the liquidity profile of the market overall. One of NASDAQ's major focuses is thinking through how do we extend markets while doing two things. One, involving all participants like we see today, but two, extending the investor protections that create a resilient marketplace that people want to participate within. So NASDAQ's really been at the forefront of those conversations, leading discussions with the industry, thinking through the implications of how to implement realistic market protections that allow for trading, but also protect the core of what we're trying to do, which is enable capital growth and to bring investors across the world into the U.S. markets.
That's perfectly said, Thomas. And as we've been discussing, continuous trading obviously very new. What does the regulatory landscape look like today, and how do you believe it will change in the future? Do you think it's going to be difficult to navigate, or maybe a little easy?
It's a great question. Right now, we're waiting for the government to reopen. When they do, we do expect, some announcements from the SIP as to expectations for when the Securities Information Processor will move forward. That really is the starting gun of when this race begins. Without that formal piece of infrastructure in place, the exchanges are waiting, until really that happens. The SEC has signaled support for this effort. The SIPs are actively investigating, what it's going to take. And now we're kind of waiting for the government to reopen and get the official word. So from a regulatory landscape, this is expected to move forward. Now, how do we think about regulations and market protections and all of the intricacies, reporting standards, the differences that are going to happen in a 24-hour environment? Those are conversations that are happening as we speak with industry groups, across NASDAQ and within the industry itself to make sure that we are prepared, really for this outcome as we expect it, into next year and beyond.
Yeah, let's get that government reopened. I think me, 300 million people are ready for that. Last thing for you, Thomas, thanks again so much for your time, and really looking forward to seeing you guys in New York City next week. Something that's fascinating to me, algorithmic trading. How do you believe that algorithmic trading and AI are going to reshape the continuous trading markets?
It's a great question. When it comes to 24 hours, it's going to be one of those things where we're going to have to really wait and see. The liquidity dynamics that a lot of models are built on don't necessarily naturally translate to the overnight period. Liquidity is less, participation is less. You see more erratic behavior as a result. That is very hard to model. The behavioral component of a retail-driven overnight market is going to be much harder to model as compared to the institutional flows that really smooth out participation and activity over the course of a regular trading day.
Sure.
Although when we look forward, at the advancement of AI and the advancement of these algorithmic solutions, you will see as more markets begin to participate, the ATSs that are actively trading today, as more come online, as routing technologies become available, and as the exchanges themselves enter the space, and later next year and beyond, you will see the emergence of those technologies and that engagement on an AI/algorithmic basis extend to the continuous operating periods.
Amazing stuff, as I said. What a time to be alive, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's an absolute pleasure talking with you today, Thomas. Thank you so much for your time, and once again, really look forward to seeing you next week in New York.
All right. Look forward to it as well.
There he is. Thanks so much, Thomas. That was Thomas Maguire, the AVP of Product Management at NASDAQ. He will be participating in the 24/5 Trading Markets Don't Sleep panel next week at Benzinga's FinTech Conference in New York City. Hope to see everybody there. Now let's send it back to the man who invented cryptocurrency on a dare, the great Ryan Faluda.
How good of an invention was that, though? Let's be honest.
Game changer.
You tell me I can't do something. Guess what I'm going to do, Dan? I'm going to effing do it. That's just
right.
just what we do.
The wheel cheese, cryptocurrency, greatest things ever. And Red Zone too.
Yeah.
And your cat.
You have to throw red zone. We're going to pull a Costanza here and leave on a high note. Dan, really appreciate it. Really good interview. We'll catch you tomorrow for another one.
Can't wait. Love you, man.
All right. Take care. That is Dan Leach, everybody. Dan's departure leaves room for story trading. Let's go ahead and bring them on. I got Ben and I got the Godfather. How's it going, gents?
Doing good. The Godfather, I wasn't sure if you would make it. It's we're listening. I don't know if you're listening to it though. We're listening to SCOTUS live.
I am trying to break away. So I'm going to make this really easy for you. You guys have a good show. I'm going to go listen to that. I'll see you in a little bit.
You go listen to that. So I'm anxious to get back to that. We got a stream going on right now for a story trading community. It's fascinating listening to the oral arguments, SCOTUS arguing whether these tariffs are legal. Very, very interesting. Can't wait to get back to that, the Godfather. But let me just give you my macro overview real quick. Look, I've been spot on in my community since FOMC. That was here on, I think it was October 30th, or maybe it was the 29th. I'm not sure. But to me, the turning point was clear. Jerome Powell saying that third cut is not guaranteed. So I've been pretty bearish since then, and I've been raising cash almost every single day since then in my short-term account and my long-term account. Looks like it was the right move, but now we're at a point where, what's going to happen here, right? You see IWM interacting with the 50. It closed below the 50, now back above it. You see QQQ. I thought it was going to test the 20. It did, but it did it in the overnight market. I had a 613 target yesterday. I had some puts coming into today looking for 613, but it hit it early in the overnight market. Now I'm left wondering, are we going to test 613, 614, that 20 DMA in the regular hours or not? And Godfather, I got to be honest, I'm still leaning bearish. I don't know. I'm trying not to get excited by this pop here, but it's scary. I got to say it's scary watching these pops at these key moving averages. So I'll just pause there.
Yeah, look, it is that time of the year where we do start to see some, year-end flows come in. We've turned the calendar, so the liquidity issues that come with the end of the calendar, with financial institutions parking cash at the reverse repo, et cetera, those things have started to unwind, which is good. You've seen the liquidity starved parts of the market underperform here, right? You saw it in cryptocurrencies, you saw it in IWM. Yep. Seeing a little bit of a relief here, but look, I've been with you, as you know. I've been sitting on my hands. I've been doing a lot less. I just, concerned about the overcrowded positioning in this market, concerned about the valuation levels, before even, the sort of mantra, and it was kind of pointed to as the single largest thing, taking the market down the last couple of days are, concerns over these AI valuations, of course, perpetuated by, the timely press release of Michael Burry's positions on Palantir and NVIDIA. But look, you can just see it, right? You could see it even before this raft of Mag 7 earnings. You saw it in, the fade of a beat by TSM. You saw it in a fade by a beat of ASML. And of course, we got the Mag 7s. The Mag 7s aren't the most highly valued names in this market. They're essentially at market multiple because essentially are the market, right? They're 35% of the S&P. But even those names, only 2 of the 5, Amazon and Google traded higher on their report. So it just shows you there's a lot baked in. It's not just the AI data points that are baked in. It's, trade that's baked in. We saw, by all accounts, a tremendous result for the U.S. with China coming out of Trump's visit to Asia. We've seen this sort of blow off in rare earths. We've seen a blow off in new defense names all in the first couple of weeks of October. And on top of all that, we never got this summer swoon. We never got this 5% correction. And we get, 3 or more 5% corrections a year in the market. And we've gone up 30% on NDX in the last 6 months without a single 5%.
So what's that all add up to? Do you think,
here's what
you think it's just this little correction to the 20 DMA overnight and that's it? Or do we have to test maybe that 50? Look, we've tested this 50 DMA, which has been the definitive bull trend line since the Liberation Day lows. Look at that. Definitive bull line. We've tested it. We broke the 20 DMA multiple occasions. We touched the 50 DMA once. What's your gut here? Is the little correction over, or are we going to break the 20 and make a move towards the 50 on the Qs?
I mean, I think eventually we'll challenge that 50 again. Look, that 5% that I talked about, all that does is take you to the 50. And as long as that holds, I think we're good for the rest of the year, because we'll probably be saved by, sort of the year-end mechanics, which we can talk about later. But and look, but here's the thing: the indices have sort of masked some rot underneath, not just the narrowing breadth, and it's often the narrowing breadth, by the way, that precedes a digestion in the markets, and this has been conflated right now. With uncertainties around the shutdown, uncertainties, around the lack of economic data that comes with that. And of course, this sort of angst in the market about the hawkish cut by Powell. So, there's a lot of things lining up that would suggest digestion in this market. But, here again, you want to take your action from the price or your cues from the price action. And I think it's huge that NVIDIA held this 200 level.
Oh, did it? It didn't yesterday. It's back above it.
No, it broke. It broke down to like 195 in after hours, and it was looking terrible. I mean, I bought some SOXL just on the view of a small position, but just on the view that we could see a bounce here. But and the other level, of course, for liquidity and risk assets to watch is Bitcoin at that 100K. And those two levels all day yesterday, they were on my screen together, and they more or less traded in sync, and they more or less both held. So we're above that now. Technically speaking,
tested an overnight. I'm so pissed off because my target was a 613 on the Qs, and I didn't get the benefit from it because it's not an account that has overnight trading, and I'm still whatever. Listen, let me ask you this: I'm looking for a way that I can bank on a move to 613. The SCOTUS discussion going on right now, okay, which we're going to get back to. How do you think? I'm very curious about this. Let's say that the storyline, the narrative is going to be, wow, SCOTUS is skeptical, and there's one of the conservative or two of the conservative judges even that are also skeptical. And so if the narrative becomes, maybe these tariffs go away, I know there's different ways to bring some of them back, but is that going to be seen as a bullish or bearish thing? And I've consistently been saying that's not good, because the market has positioned for tariffs and the whole economy has been restructured around tariffs, and that's going to bring a lot of volatility and fear, uncertainty, and doubt. But on the other hand, I mean, tariffs has been what everyone's been blaming for little, inflation that we have. I'm wondering if it could go the other way. If there's headlines that, hey, SCOTUS is, not so hot on tariffs, can that cause positive sentiment to be like, oh, great, inflation's going to go? Like, which direction do you think this will go in that case, if it is leaning towards SCOTUS, not upholding these tariffs?
So, here's the thing. Right now, it's kind of a bad look for the U.S., right? They're issuing 16 to 17 billion a day in debt, and you got a government that shut down. And now you've got, the Supreme Court challenging the leader of the country's, primary policy tool. That's not good. That's not good for the U.S. dollar. It's not good for, folks buying our debt. It's not good for U.S. dollar inflows, etc. So, look, I think that what happens out of this is really a lot of nothing at the end of the day. It's possible that, the current clauses that the Trump administration is leaning on for, executing these tariffs get invalidated, and maybe some 5% of the 15% or whatever the exact numbers have to be rejigged, but they'll find another clause to do it, and there'll be another court challenge, and it'll just
okay, so bottom line,
it'll carry on and drag out, but in the meantime tariff revenues continue. So
but how does this impact the market in the near term? If today the oral arguments finish in the next hour or so, and now we get all the media talking about SCOTUS is skeptical, is that a catalyst to kind of get to this next leg down towards the 50? Or not?
It could be, in so much that it continues to breed uncertainty, right? In the market, that's the main thing that the market cares about is certainty. So I think the market's come around to tariffs. Look, we've made new highs here, irrespective of Trump's tariff policy. So that just tells you where the market stands on it. So Yes, it's one of the drivers of market sentiment right now, but I don't think it single-handedly is the largest, and it sounds more and more like we're not going to get an immediate decision and immediate clarity on this. So other things like end to the government shutdown might have more impact on the markets in terms of an immediate catalyst.
So, okay, let's see what happens. I'm at my highest cash position since around that Liberation Day stuff. I went to cash and I was shorting the market.
It continues to be a market that you do less in my opinion.
Let's shift to IWM for a second, though. Okay, so that I think covered the bigger caps, but IWM I'm also very concerned about, maybe even more so than the Qs. I agree with you that you get to move towards the 50. I think if you do, I think that's it on the Qs because of the strength of the fundamentals and the Mag 7. But IWM, now it's a different look intraday, but close below the 50 after last week. We get the, like, as you say, the hawkish cut. I don't know if you're on the same page with me or not. I've been basically very vocal since yesterday that, like, forget about small caps and risk assets, and I'd rather be late, getting back in than early, meaning I'm not buying this dip. I want to see a close above the 50 and or talk about rate cuts again. So I'm like very, very cautious, man, and to the point where I missed making a lot of money on your AIP pick. Made a little bit, but it could have made a lot more because I'm just very cautious on risk assets right now. What's your take?
I agree. Look, this is an environment where what you're doing has to be extremely compelling. And if you're buying small caps right as they're testing the 50-day, I don't think that's the most compelling thing to do. Because look, if the larger indices, the S&P and SPY, and the Qs were right at their 50 and bouncing higher, that's an environment where it looks favorable.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, we're still sort of playing around with the 20.
Mm-hmm.
Look, if those indices break the 20, what happens to IWM at the 50? It goes lower as well.
That's what I think.
That group needs liquidity. The large caps don't need liquidity in this market, right? What they need are solid AI data points, and we got a bunch of those last week, and we got a bunch of them again on Monday with this raft of data center deals. So we all know that we've seen a 60% increase just in 2025 alone for AI CapEx spend. And look, I know there's a lot of talk about whether this is sustainable, and I have my own concerns about every incremental dollar from here actually being as productive as the last sort of 12 months of CapEx investments. It's just not mathematically possible or feasible. So these things don't grow to the sky, and valuation does matter, and it'll act as a governor on these indices. And when you see this kind of chop, it's a sign of price discovery. It's a sign of a market that's saying, okay, all of this is baked in. All the everything that Jensen said, at GTC in terms of 500 billion in incremental revenue. Everything that Satya said in terms of doubling their data center footprint over the next 2 years, everything that Jassy said about monetizing every dollar of CapEx spend on AI immediately, all of this, the sum total of it is baked into this market.
All right. So now it's coming. As we're talking it down, QQQ puts are starting to work for me today. All right, we got to move into individual stocks. Now, all that being said, what a call on AIP. Did I listen to the conference call on this? No, I listened to your summary on this. Okay, but I saw the headlines and the PRs, and I was a little skeptical because of what I just said. I'm like, I don't trust small caps right now. But you were right. You said you thought we're going to get a near-term immediate re-rating above 15, and I've been talking about that too for weeks and months. I was like, we're gonna in the near term re-rate above 50. I got cold feet ahead of the earnings report yesterday, and I sold most of my position. I only had 20 call options coming into today, so I left a lot on the table. And you were right. Pretty unbelievable to me to see this up 20% and finally hitting all our targets. Like, this is also what I was expecting, but I was just very nervous about IWM, and I just was, small size, man. But congratulations. We took this pick yesterday. We made it one of our top 5 picks this morning. Maybe I forgot what was the number. Maybe it was the number one. I don't remember which one was number one. It was MBOT. We'll talk about MBOT. So look, I was wrong about that. I thought MBOT would do better than AIP today. It's totally wrong. So congratulations on that pick. Where does it go from here?
Yeah, look, I mean, up 20%. That's because the stock was down at like 12.20 at the end of yesterday.
Yeah.
We were just 10 days ago.
They're more like, yeah, we're stable
We
at
got to
14.
1440 or so
14.
on the stock, like less than
Yeah.
10 days ago. So, we're not that high relative to
I
those
hear it.
levels.
Mhm.
I've been saying for a while that this deserves to re-rate relative to the group. And, I keep this valuation table on a real-time basis. And, it's saying 20 to 21 now in terms of fair value, again, just to get to the peers. These guys have a growth rate that is in excess.
Does not that concern you to compare to peer? When we're talking about a market correction, especially in small caps risk assets, should we be looking at peer valuations? Like the last few days, I haven't been looking at peer valuations. I've been looking at like just PE and price to sales, and I'm like, man, that's expensive. Like everything looks expensive to me. I'm like not touching anything because I'm not looking at the peer valuations right now. You're not worried about looking at peer valuations if we're going to get a
No,
pullback
for
here?
me, that's what anchors my conviction, right?
Really?
I believe that, still the best thing to do in this market is to
Mhm.
stay where the biggest tailwinds are. The biggest
Okay.
theme in this market is AI, and, search the market high and low for a way to participate without a command, without a an overly onerous valuation, and it's hard to find, really hard to find. And here's a name that's a royalty name that's inflecting in terms of free cash flow. They get sitting at 50 million in cash. They are a direct play on chip complexity. They're a direct play on AI hardware. Their largest client is AMD, and within 1 quarter of signing AMD, they've just doubled down. AMD has come back, an entirely new department within AMD has ordered more, and there are more departments that they commented on the conference call that they're in discussions and doing business with. And look, they're doing business with half of the top 40 systems integrators and AI and semiconductor companies in the world. And what are the key trends here? Number one, people are moving to chiplet architecture. More and more AI is moving to inference at the edge. There's more and more custom silicon happening. There's a dearth of AI engineers. So it's difficult for all these companies to internalize all of this. It's better for them to license it, from a third party. And of course, AIP can amortize all of those engineers over a bunch of different revenue streams from a bunch of different companies. So look, I summarized on X the key themes that are pushing their business higher, and the 10 key takeaways from the actual quarter. Suffice to say, they upped their guidance. They had record revenues, they had record backlog, they had record book to bill. And the most important thing is there's two components to the business here. One is the upfront licensing fees and the design ins, which well precedes an actual royalty stream, because it takes years sometimes for these design chips to actually come out into production. And you're seeing an inflection now in the royalty stream, and that's 100% margin, not gross margin, 100% profit margin, right? Every dollar goes straight to the bottom line. So the operating leverage on that is huge. And we saw some 30% growth in royalties, and they talked about this growing at a rate 2x that of the licenses. So, and here's the other thing: it's upfront and it's volume, and they were historically focused mainly, or their main business was coming out of EV and the automotive chip side, which doesn't have the same kind of volumes, and the FPGAs. Again, not the same kind of volumes, but they're talking about 35% plus of long-term revenue being AI related, and that's where the big volumes are. So again, it compounds that. So you've got this operating leverage flywheel. Look, it's just one name to play AI without a demanding valuation. And if it had a demanding valuation, this beat would have been faded by the market. The only reason we got this response is because it wasn't already trading at the same kind of multiples of the peers at like 12 times. It was going into this quarter trading at 6.5 times on an EV to sales basis for 2026. So, the same thesis is in play, in our pick of BTU as a way of playing power for AI data centers, right? There's a company, depending on whether you're using peak EV EBITDA or current consensus estimates, you're in the low single digits on an EV EBITDA basis.
Okay.
Compare that to the Vistras of the world, or the SMR companies, all this. So these companies are, they're great when the market momentum is there, but we've seen what happens when it dissipates, which is what's happened in the last week or so. These things get absolutely crushed.
Yeah. All right. Well, you killed it on that one. We got to keep moving because we only got a few minutes left. But AIP, good job. Top pick today. A lot of people killed it in our community. Thanks to you. I want to bring up MBOT. I haven't heard you talk about it recently. I know this is a stock that you'd like in the past. It's gotten destroyed. I saw Catalyst this morning. They're starting commercialization. So I jumped in, made some good money, and then I lost it all. I made $80 at the end of the day. I was up like a couple grand. So I guess, I don't know, the market's saying this Catalyst is not significant at these prices. What do you think?
Well, I made the comment and request, in answer to your query about what I thought about this PR. And I just, in this market, as we talked about earlier, it's been very difficult for these small cap names to get any kind of attention, just because there's been so much concentration of money flow in the large cap names. And I was pounding the table on this thing prior to FDA approval, because I was like, there's a high chance this thing gets approved, and of course it did. The second thing I expected is that it would immediately get taken out by one of the larger players. That hasn't happened. And when they said to the market that they had plans of going it alone in terms of commercial, that disappointed the market.
When did that happen? I missed it.
It happened more or less right after the FDA approval.
Yeah.
So it doesn't negate the possibility of them getting taken out. And ultimately, I do think this becomes part of a bigger company. But that's not.
Do you still have a position in this name, or you trade this opportunistically, or what?
I don't, because I wanted to see. I wanted them to come out and say, okay, we've been approved. Now we're going to start a shareholder process of extracting maximum value, and we're going to open a data room and do what we need to do to monetize this. So look, this press release it's a limited rollout, just to kind of gauge response so that they can come back to the market with a more concrete rollout plan. But this technology is fantastic.
Oh my God, what just happened with Qs? Oh, my puts just got destroyed. Something. I gotta be listening to the SCOTUS now. Maybe something was said on that discussion. We gotta figure that out. Anyway, you got resistance at 627 on the Qs. You got to get past that for me to say this correction is over. But anyway, look at that. And okay, sorry to interrupt you. We got just a few minutes left on that. Damn. I want to bring up earnings. There's a lot of earnings last night, a lot of earnings this afternoon, some very exciting names this afternoon. Are there any of these? I know some of these names we overlap in, like Root and Lyft, and you've looked at Geo before. Geo's starting to move ahead. Geo's got just completely destroyed into this earnings report. Are there any of these names that you may be willing to take a bet on into the report? There are a couple here that I may be willing to take a bet on. But let's hear what you have to say first.
I'm not playing any names specifically for earnings, just because of this sort of beat and fade mentality that we've seen in the market. And, a lot of good news has been baked in. I appreciate that we're not talking about AI names specifically reporting. I know in our community, there's been a lot of conversation and question about Root on the heels of this report, and nice market response to Lemonade. It's not the same business. This is auto insurance, but look, these guys are an absolute leader in the space. It's not a demanding valuation. It's got a low float, so it can go both ways. I think you're already seeing some response in the market.
Yep.
FOMO into the report. People sort of playing off of the strength of Lemonade, but the setup looks reasonable for Root. I expect the numbers will be strong, but again, it's just too fickle a market for me. What is it? It's a binary bet at best. That's not what I'm here for. So, look, I own this thing long term.
I own it long term as well. Let me tell you the ones I think that let's just call. Look, I don't know that I will take a bet on any of these names. I'm just going to highlight like 6 names or so that I think have a a better risk reward than all the other names that have been reporting. Okay, and Root is one of them. So as part of this, I'm looking at the chart to, and see, hey, this has been knocked down a lot. I'm also thinking about valuations. So I think Root, Lyft as well, with just a great cash flow machine. CXW also really good fundamentals, been beaten down. Geo, its peer reporting tomorrow morning, beaten down even more than CXW. Some of this having to do with the government shutdown and funding being delayed. And then Zevra, this biotech company, that just keeps quarter after quarter beating and raising. And then maybe Celsius. They had a nice quarter last quarter. I mean, these are the 1, 2, about 6 names that I'm very excited about. And we'll see. I might take small bets into ERs, or more likely what I'll do is I'll sit on my news feed at like 4 p.m. And if I get like a big beat in one or more of these names, I'll just jump on within like the first 30 seconds.
I think that, you've been preaching, react rather than predict. And I think in this market, that's a much better strategy. You're extremely good at being quick on the trigger in response to, the quarters. And because the market's so unpredictable and because there's a lot of chop, I think that's the right thing to do. If you're part of our community, you get the insights of yourself and the other folks that are focused on, short-term trading around market responses to quarters.
Is Lyft still one that you hold long-term?
Look, Lyft is a perfect example, right?
Yeah.
That this thing still is fundamentally undervalued. Yes, it's finally broken out of that $15 range, but even here at 20, I don't think it's a particularly rich setup going into earnings. So here's one where I think the risk reward is solid. But am I playing this going into earnings? No, but if they beat and the market response isn't there,
yeah, I just got a headline, by the way.
I'll look at it.
I just got the first headline from CNBC summarizing the SCOTUS. It's saying where Supreme Court justices appear skeptical that Trump tariffs are legal. We'll see if that has any impact
that's no
on the
surprise,
market.
right? This goes right to the Constitution. So it's essentially a constitutional challenge, and that's that breeds a lot of uncertainty.
We'll see what happens. It's going to be fascinating today. I can't wait to get. Maybe it's over. I don't know. I can't wait to get back to that. But these headlines coming out of here, and then the reaction to the headlines. Honestly, I am leaning like you are towards a negative reaction to those headlines, but we're not seeing it yet, unless the CNBC headline is going to start triggering something. But who knows? It could go the other way. They may create the media, the financial media might create a narrative that, hey, this is great for the stock market. No more tariffs means inflation's not going to be a concern. I don't honestly. Look, I'm positioned bearish as I've been talking about, but I might get my face ripped off here in the next couple of days. I don't know.
Here's the other thing to consider. There is a big Trump put in this market. Trump's already come out and said that he's going to have a big speech. I think it's at 1 o'clock Eastern, if I'm not mistaken.
Today?
On the economy.
Oh, look,
I said flippantly last night when things were melting down in the futures, Q Besant and Trump to, come out and massage the market. And, I don't know if that's what they're going to do in the speech about the economy at 1 o'clock, but that's a concern. There's still a lot of levers that this administration can pull, to effectuate
look at Tesla.
or a
Tesla's
quarter
got their
point.
vote tomorrow, guys.
Pardon me?
Sorry, Tesla's exploding. They got their vote tomorrow on Elon Musk's compensation package. Wow.
I see Roots just stick to a new high of the day here.
Yeah, I had a scalp earlier, like from 83 to 85, but we'll see. I might take a small position into the report.
Setups there and the setup and lift, both look good for me.
Yeah.
But again, binary, into quarters isn't the best thing. Being quick on the trigger in reaction is a much better approach, and I would advocate that, especially now in this market.
All right, Ryan, are you there? Are you listening to this? You got to come on and tell us what happened, what we're missing while we're talking here. Ryan, come on, get on here. Tell us about SCOTUS. I got to get caught up. Any last words while we wait for him to shut us down?
Yeah, look, this is it's a two-speed economy, right? We've got the market going in opposite directions. The outperformance by the AI names versus the cyclicals and the retail names, and even some of the the consumer durables has been remarkable. Like we're talking 20% plus outperformance in September. So the market is suggesting that the economy is still fragile. You can pick your data points, whether it's PepsiCo or Chipotle or PayPal or you name it. But you've got a third of the SPY that's already 20% away from its highs, right? This is in correction territory. So this is a market that still has extremely narrow breadth, and I think it's fragile. It's fragile to anything negative in terms of catalyst. I don't know what it's going to be. Is the market again going to acquiesce around AI valuations as being the trigger? But I would be much more compelled to enter new positions. And here's the thing: you can have the best thesis in the world, but entries really matter. And if the indices were sitting at their 50, I'd be much more comfortable. Where we're at now, I just think that it's a time to do less. You take less shots, you got less of a chance of being chopped up in this tape. The better entry you get, the more conviction you can continue to hold. So, be patient, and let price in this market be your guide. And right now, I just don't see a compelling backdrop.
Yeah, look at this. TLT is down 1%. I know we had hot payroll data this morning. I think PMI came in under market expectations. I don't know what that's doing our rates. Maybe I can infer from that they're up today based on TLT down 1%, or maybe it's just a risk on for today. I'm not sure. But look at IWM back over the 50. That's a little concerning for my risk off thesis at the moment. We'll see what happens. Hey, Ryan, come get us. I got to go listen to SCOTUS. Who's AT? We're nothing after you guys are going to get the option at least. Okay, AT. Do we just hang out here? Should I keep talking? I don't want to. Can I live stream SCOTUS? I think that's what I'll do. I'm going to live stream SCOTUS until you come get us. Let me see if I could do that. Hold on a second. Here we go. I am going to do it. I'm going to live stream SCOTUS right here. 1 second. Let's live stream SCOTUS. Is this still going on? Did I miss the whole thing? There we go. Oh, it says Ryan's busy. We're supposed to say goodbye, and then the producer is going to end the stream. All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Take care. All right.
Have a
Bye-bye.
great day.